And the only crash I see right now on the interstates is 65 southbound at Trinity Lane. That'll be just north of downtown, reported by police. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. Welcome in. One and all, it is the Matt Murphy Radio Show underway for another day. Pleased you've decided to join us on this February the 14th. It is Valentine's Day. Yeah.
Was something supposed to happen whenever you said that?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to make sure that all you fellows knew. So, you get on to your...
Oh, it's too late now.
Get on to your grocery store, to your Publix, to your Kroger, wherever you happen to be going. Here's the thing, though. I realized this as I walked into the Publix last night. Outside of, normal florists, which I assume they hate the grocery stores glomming in on their game, where else are you going to go?
That's a good question.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
side of the road?
You could go side. Honestly, the go-to, we pick on them. We pick on those sad sacks at 4:30, 5 o'clock this afternoon, standing there in line with the bundle of flowers. But, what? Where else do you go? I suppose you could go to a floral shop, but I don't think no offense to you floral shops. Y'all tell me on the Super Text line if I'm just misspeaking and I'm out of turn because I don't know anything about this subject. But the grocery store, I walk by, and the grocery store's selling for like $21.99.
Yeah.
For a dozen of roses.
Yes, sir.
And you could get cheaper than that if you go a different style bouquet. You can go $14.99 or whatever. I don't know that the floral shops can keep up with that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they got a little more cost involved.
I guess so. I don't know. I don't know anything behind that. Maybe a florist will call us and give us the inside skinny as to how Big Grocery is glomming in on their game.
I like sweet nothings. They're free.
Oh yeah. Just whispering in the ear there, can we? So we've got lots to talk about that is not Valentine's Day related, but happy Valentine's Day to all of you lovers out there in the listening audience. There's Ken Weaver. He's back in News Closet B. He gathers headlines from time to time and delivers them from time to time. When I go to break on time, he delivers them on time. When I don't, that's on me, not on him. He's waiting patiently. Chris Webber's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as humanly possible. Hello.
Good afternoon.
How's everybody doing?
Doing good.
Yeah?
Good.
Oh, that's good.
Feeling good.
Feeling good?
Looking
Friday?
good, but that's
what the Ken, I'm a little bit behind on this subject matter. I had a couple of things to do, a couple of errands to run earlier in the day. What in the world is going on with the weather tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday?
Well, Brother Murphy, right now we are at a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather tomorrow. Looks like the timeline for this is going to be tomorrow afternoon and evening.
Mm-hmm.
And if severe storms do pop up in the storms that we are going to get, we're going to get rain. We're going to get heavy rain. But if they turn into severe storms, then we cannot rule out damaging wind up to 60 mile per hour.
Yikes.
Tornadoes and hail. So that's what we got to be careful for. As far as the rest of the day and tonight, I think we're good. But then tomorrow is when rain starts tonight.
About what time tonight?
Not given a timeline.
Because, a lot of folks are going out on amateur night.
Actually, it's just going to be partly cloudy tonight. I'm sorry.
Go out to dinner?
Yeah. Rain is tomorrow, folks. Looks like we're going to stay dry the rest of the day and tonight.
Well, see, you scared people just then, Ken.
Yeah.
You scared
those roses need the rain.
They need the water. That's true. That's
I don't think they need as much as we're going to get, though.
I don't understand. This is how much I don't understand about roses or flowers generally, but roses specifically. I've been in a lot of gardens and I've walked through people's gardens during the season where their roses are blooming.
Mm-hmm.
And these folks seem to be very, very proud of their roses.
Yeah.
They have all of these different types. I don't remember the name. I mean, here are my knockout roses. Here are my grand champion roses. Here's my this and that.
Mm-hmm.
None of the roses in their gardens look like the roses that end up in the floral shops or in the Publix. And I think it's just a lack of knowledge as to what type of roses are those.
That's a good question. But I will say, though, typically when you buy like a bouquet of roses, they aren't fully blossomed yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe that's part of what makes them appear different is that when you see them in the wild or growing in someone's yard, they're fully opened.
Well, but it feels like the petals are smaller.
Could be.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe there's just a bit. I mean, what type of rose are we using for the roses that we buy in the store
They're
versus
probably different.
I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell. I mean, but you compliment that. I've always wanted. You never say this because you're at the person's house and you always, oh, those are very nice. Those are the finest roses I've ever seen. And what I want to say is, those don't look anything like the roses in the store. What's up?
Yeah.
Why are they different? But you know what you say? Oh, those are very lovely, Mrs. Johnson.
Beautiful.
Just thank you.
Beautiful.
Oh, thank you. No, the tea and crumpets were so nice. Thank you for inviting us.
Tea and crumpets.
I'd love to stay, but I really got to go.
No, it's been such a lovely afternoon, but I really have to get on home. Thank you. By the way, speaking of goodies, I accidentally left some stuff in my truck for you guys.
That just won't do.
The missus provided you some stuff.
Wow.
I mean, these are pretty tip top. So she likes to keep you boys fed. So there you go.
It's much
Thank
appreciated.
you,
Yes.
thank you.
That is about
you,
to.
E.
That's going to happen during an extended bottom of the hour news break.
I'll run it out about 5 minutes.
Yeah, thanks. So I can run down to the truck and handle all that business. Oh, I'm here. See, I knew the super text line. I knew all you got to do is bring it up, and here it comes.
Oh yeah.
Colombian roses is what we're dealing with. Is what people are telling me.
That's the store-bought ones?
I suppose so.
Right,
Store roses are imported from hothouses in Colombia, says 5720. Dave writes in and says, the ones in my yard look like carnations. That's exactly right, Dave. They have more of that. They're not carnations, but they kind of got that look going on.
I know exactly what he's saying.
I know what he's saying, too. The roses that are typically sold in a bouquet from a florist or the grocery store are actually called hybrid tea roses. Well, see, y'all are so smart. Smarter than me, I'll tell you that. And you've got knowledge that I never had. Colombian, if you remember Trump's tariff threat, so I guess maybe that's what we were worried about. No roses for Valentine's Day.
Ooh.
Man, oh man, if I'd have known that, I would have been really pushing those tariffs.
I'd take a whole bushel of those Colombian roses.
Yeah, quick Google search. The Colombian roses, that's what you buy in the store. They look just like what you buy when you buy a bouquet.
I wonder when you pick them or when you cut them. I bet you're right, Chris. I bet that you don't cut them you cut them way early.
Yeah.
Because they're going to, and as long as they're in the water, they keep doing their thing.
Yeah.
They keep blossoming or whatever.
You got to be careful, though. They got thorns on them.
Yeah, they do. That's true.
They'll stick you.
That's true. Don't they dethorn them?
I don't know.
I don't know. I
would
just
hope so.
I'm at a loss.
We're getting off in the weeds, if you will.
Speaking of weeds, what a great segue. We're going to talk about weed today and pots for potholes. I've not been on this subject, and it feels like it's right in my wheelhouse. And so we'll discuss it on the show today. We got Fri-Jay coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. We'll have some fun. Yesterday, I failed to mention this. Did you know yesterday was World Radio Day?
I did not know that.
I did not know that either.
How in the world did we miss that?
How in the world? I'm normally on the National Day calendar. I go over to the National Day calendar, making sure that I don't lose any national days. And I suppose that it was not on my National Day calendar because it's a World Day. But it was a World Radio Day, not to be confused with National Radio Day. And it inspired me that maybe we should, as we wind down the week, after we get through with all the news, maybe we can talk about radio stories. I got a lot of them, as you might expect. I bet Ken Weaver's got a lot of them, too.
I got a whole bunch.
I bet our listeners have a lot of them, too. Everybody likes to say radio used to be more fun, but I've never had more fun than I'm having right now.
I'm having a blast.
I'm having a good time as well. All right, so let's news of the day. So I don't want you to get in your car and be lost with what's going on today. Number one, J.D. Vance laid down the thunder earlier today. The vice president of the United States quipped that Europe could survive Elon Musk's criticisms if the U.S. could survive climate change activist Greta Thunberg. How dare you? How dare you? Where's the camera? How dare you? How dare you?
Did he say that to them?
He did not say "How dare you," but he did say that about Greta Thunberg. I was trying to get pull up my audio here. And Babylon Bee has an absolutely great. Y'all know Babylon Bee is a satirical website. Babylon Bee has a fabulous hit. Says Europeans beg J.D. Vance to become president of Europe after his visit over there, which is absolutely fabulous. No, I need to get the J.D. Vance quote so y'all can hear it for yourself because he was pulling no punches, baby. Here it comes. He said. He said, "Y'all, here's one of his clips. I don't think this is the Thunberg, but this is a pretty good one.
I believe there is nothing more urgent than mass migration. Today, almost 1 in 5 people living in this country moved here from abroad. That is, of course, an all-time high. It's a similar number, by the way, in the United States, also an all-time high. The number of immigrants who entered the EU from non-EU countries doubled between 2021 and 2022 alone, and of course it's gotten much higher since. And we know this situation, it didn't materialize in a vacuum. It's the result of a series of conscious decisions made by politicians all over the continent and others across the world over the span of a decade. We saw the horrors wrought by these decisions yesterday in this very city. And of course, I can't bring it up again without thinking about the terrible victims who had a beautiful winter day in Munich ruined. Our thoughts and prayers are with them and will remain with them. But why did this happen in the first place?
I mean, he continues to lay it down, and we're going to go over some of the stuff that he's laying down over the course of the afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN and, of course, on the Matt Murphy Show. But, yeah, it was one of the better speeches that you will hear. It almost merits a full revisit. About 20, I don't know, less than 20 minutes. And every single moment of it was a blowtorch to globalism, a blowtorch to censorship at the Munich Security Conference. It is very much worth your time. And J.D. Vance is showing why Donald Trump was so proud for him to be his vice presidential selection, because he is unafraid to tell it like he sees it. Now, obviously, other people can have other opinions on these things, but gone are the days of mollycoddling these folks. Gone are the days of pussyfooting around the subject matter at hand. We're going to tell it like it is from the American perspective. And look, if other countries disagree, that's fine. You can disagree all you want, but America is not going to be afraid to assert itself globally anymore like the world leader that we actually are. Unlike the last 4 years where Joe Biden seemed to be afraid to present the American case for leadership, instead running from behind, if running at all. That's a major topic of discussion on the show today. Secondarily, I know this might be old news. I mean, especially for you Chad Benson listeners. He had Afton been on the show earlier in the week, I want to say. And good for him. We've had Afton on in the past, and Afton is a very affable Democrat from Nashville. Representative Afton Ben, who is very, very left of center, and you're not going to agree with her on most. She is promoting the Pot for Potholes legislation that they discussed earlier in the week on the Benson Show. The new bill was filed, proposes turning marijuana sales into infrastructure revenue for the state of Tennessee. She filed HB 0703 February the 3rd, which calls for the state to establish a way of controlling marijuana growth and sales and using the revenue to improve our roadways. According to the language of the bill, the Pot for Potholes Act will establish a regulatory structure for the cultivation, processing, and retail sale of marijuana and marijuana products in this state. The program would be administered by the Tennessee Department of Agriculture. Senator, now, in full disclosure, I've not read the bill. So there may be some poison pills in this bill. There may be some embedded language that I would disagree with. But on general principle, I don't know that I'm against this. As a small L libertarian, I am very defensive about your ability to put in your body things of your choosing and your ability to refuse to put into your body things of your choosing. I think most of us came to a very, very real awareness of that over the COVID-19 saga and pandemic, as it was called. You know, if a government can tell, I mean, and my point was, If a government can tell you what you're not allowed to put into your body as a consenting adult, a government can tell you what you are allowed to put into your body or must put into your body as a consenting adult. At least that's the same mindset that the government would have on these two things. So we're going to talk about this today and take your telephone calls. It is First Amendment Freestyle Friday. Very excited about that. Any and all telephone calls, I will act interested in anything you have to say. That's probably not normally true Monday through Thursday. I try to be interested. It's Locked for Trump Day 349. That's the real deal. And it's also our episode 750, 750 on the big radio show, starting noon to 3 and then shifting over 3 to 7 on Super Talk. It is Valentine's Day. We're on a variety of platforms. Obviously, on the radio dial, we're on a variety of apps. Anywhere that you download or stream music or information or news, you can stream us. Just go ahead and do that. And then, of course, Talk TV. Like and subscribe us. Costs you
absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing, according to Ken Weaver. Just to give us the old thumbs up, the like and subscribe. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Find us over there. Thank you to U.S. Pest for bringing you that. It's a Friday edition, just getting underway. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy, and I've got a very important question for you, and I think I know somebody that's got some answers if you do not. The question is this: how much did you pay last year for your health insurance? What did it really cost you? You know, Shane Ring is at Cover Nash, and I've been telling you about Shane, and he can tell you the answer to these questions right now. Cover Nash wants you to know how much you spend, and more importantly, how much you overspend on your health care plan. Now, Shane is not a call center, and I love this about Shane. He is local. I mean, hence Cover Nash. He is ready to cover Nashville and the areas beyond. He's right here local to our community, meaning that you can sit down with him in Brentwood in his office, as I have done. I've sat down with Shane, and he shops the entire healthcare market. He has, I think it's 65 different insurance companies that he shops around on. I think that's the right number. Don't hold me to it, but it's around that number. I mean, it is as many as you possibly can because Shane understands that he has to find the right one for you. He's going to spend that time and energy to do just that. They want you to be informed about your health insurance coverage. Do not wait till open enrollment. Do this right now. Call Shane Ring and Cover Nash. Let them get a health care plan that pays you, not the other way around. Don't get taken advantage of and don't overpay. Shane Ring wants you to take control of your money and your health coverage. Managed by you, not by the government. Go to covernash.com or 615-465-0023. 465-0023.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
I encourage you to go where the pros go. Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. Friends, it's Matt Murphy, and Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply is your one-stop shop and source for Kawasaki engine parts and service, which is just the best. They carry Kawasaki engine parts and lubricants for your lawn equipment. Spring is coming soon, guys, and now's the time to go ahead and apply pre-emergence on your lawn and your landscape to stop the summer weeds. You need to do this now. All of their locations are stocked up, and I'm going to tell you where they are in a moment. Ready to help you to get your property ready for the new year. Come on down and talk to a turf expert today at Dickens Landscape and Supply. I should say Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. Go where the pros go. Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply. If you're looking for quality parts, products, and the best advice in the industry, visit your one-stop shop. 7 convenient Middle Tennessee locations. They're located in Nashville, Bellevue, Murfreesboro, Brentwood, Hendersonville, Mount Juliet, and Franklin. Find out more at DickensSupply.com. That's DickensSupply.com. Just go where the pros go. Go to Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply.
DC plane crash update. Might have been too many speaking at one time. We'll tell you about it at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy and the Matt Murphy Show. It is 26 after the hour. Love to hear from you. Here's I promised you this clip. Found it during the break there. Here's J.D. Vance cutting raw in the Munich Security Conference earlier today.
Expressing opinions isn't election interference. Even when people express views outside your own country, and even when those people are very influential. And trust me, I say this with all humor. If American democracy can survive 10 years of Greta Thunberg scolding, you guys can survive a few months of Elon Musk.
No laughs.
How dare you?
I mean, nobody laughed.
Of Elon Musk. But
I
what
mean,
German democracy, what no democracy, American, German, or European, will survive is telling millions of voters that their thoughts and concerns, their aspirations, their pleas for relief are invalid or unworthy of even being considered.
There's J.D. Vance. I mean, just come on, because the suggestion has been made that Elon Musk has, too much influence, and the fact that he overpaid, by some estimates, $20 billion for the X machine. Paid $44 billion. And he knew, he is on record as saying that he knew it was overvalued at the time that he bought it, but he bought it anyway because he believed in free speech that much. That he took a risk on the platform, understanding that he was going to have to cut. I think he eventually cut 75% of the salaries from the X machine. I've heard as little as 60, as much as 80. I think they hired some folks back in a better capacity or a different capacity. Bottom line is this. He understood the value of the free speech platform and allows people to criticize him any way they want, so long as they do not violate the rules of, there are some basic rules about how you engage on that platform. And as long as you don't violate those rules, you can criticize anyone you want to, including the owner of the platform, who would be well within his rights to prevent you from criticizing him. But he doesn't, because he believes in free speech that much. And yes, indeed, if Greta Thunberg can tell us, how dare we?
How dare you?
Then I think they can take a little something from Elon. How's she doing, by the way? I bet she's a little upset that we haven't burned the world to a crisp yet.
Disappointed, you think?
It feels like she was all in on that. Al Gore, too. Al Gore long before her. Al Gore told us, I think it was 2015 that we were going to reach a tipping point, right? I think I'm right. The late, great Phil Valentine would know all of these details because he did a movie on the thing. But, I think the hockey stick created a dynamic by which 2015 was a tipping point, and after 2015, there was never any coming back. So we may as well just, have a big party, burn all the fossil fuels we want.
We're on borrowed time, baby.
It's over now. Why not? Stephen, we'll get to you in a moment. Stephen's on the road. Your calls as well. It is a First Amendment Freestyle Friday on the Matt Murphy Show. 615-737-9986. I'll give you some of the details on potholes next on Super Talk.
3:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we are a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather tomorrow. Looks like we're going to stay dry the rest of the day and tonight, so you might not need that umbrella for your big Valentine's Day outing. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Seen reports of at least 2 people getting shot today during the Eagles Super Bowl parade in Philadelphia. Meanwhile, the D.C. plane crash investigation update. NTSB Chairman Jennifer Homendy says the Army copter crew might not have heard the whole message about that American Airlines regional jet it was supposed to pass behind.
17 seconds before impact, a radio transmission from the tower was audible on both CVRs, directing the Black Hawk to pass behind the CRJ. CVR data from the Black Hawk indicated that the portion of the transmission that stated pass behind the may not have been received by the Black Hawk crew.
Sweeping cuts and the fear of a national security crisis. A reversal for some government workers laid off at the National Nuclear Security Administration, as we hear from Karen Travers.
The badges now for some of these employees are getting turned back on. They're getting access again to their systems. So this is now being reversed. But that was a significant move at first for them to do this for these hundreds of employees. The NNSA staff is saying, though, still they feel like they're in a holding pattern right now. Because of just how tenuous this move has been.
And new developments impacting your access to TikTok. It has been returned to Apple and Google's app stores. And the law from Congress that banned all ByteDance-owned apps, that means that Lemonade and CapCut are now also back on those app stores. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, got a stalled vehicle blocking the left lane, eastbound East Loop downtown at James Robertson Parkway. Then in Berry Hill, police reporting a crash, 440 eastbound at 65. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Breaks in the rain through the afternoon, then into the evening, and overnight, a line of strong to severe thunderstorms will push through the mid-state. Keep an eye out for flooding, high winds, even isolated tornadoes throughout Saturday evening and overnight.
Sadly, insurance companies have gotten far too much influence in our healthcare practices at doctors' offices. I'm not knocking anyone. It's just the way that it is. It is not this way at Grace Point Healthcare. Affordable and convenient, comprehensive medicine is available to you in a direct pay format at Grace Point Healthcare. They are your primary care provider. At Grace Point, there are no long wait times and waiting rooms. They're your primary provider that can treat you and the entire family, from newborns to seniors. Winter brings cold and flu season, obviously, so if you are sick, you need help now. You need help today or at worst tomorrow, and you get that with Grace Point Healthcare. You don't have to wait several weeks. At Grace Point, you are normally seen the same day or the next day, even if you're a brand new patient. And I would encourage you to inquire about the basic Smart Care plan for $69 a month. You receive unlimited office visits for the year, plus free basic labs and diagnostics. Ask them about it when you make the call that so many others have made to Grace Point Healthcare. A military-owned, or a military veteran-owned practice, I should say. Grace Point Healthcare is a great place to go for you and your family. Patients are treated naturally whenever possible. Grace Point Healthcare. Call them today. In the heart of Franklin, 599-6868, 599-6868. Schedule your next medical appointment today. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. It is Matt Murphy. Hold on. Get the microphone a little closer to me. Wouldn't want to squeak on you. Would not want to squeak on you. 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986. If you'd like to be a part of the show, you're invited, particularly on First Amendment Freestyle Friday. Any callers, all callers. You know, I like to say I love taking telephone calls. I love engaging in that fashion. I always like to say that on Friday, so Fridays is really no different than Monday through Thursday, except I promise that even if you're boring me, I like to interested. That's my commitment to you. I try to do that normally, but I really go after it on these Fridays. 615-737-9986. Stephen is never boring. He's on the road, and he's next up on the Matt Murphy Show. Hello, Stephen.
What's up? How's it going, Matt?
What's up, Stephen?
Man, I'm trying to keep up with everything that's going on out here these days. There is a lot of stuff happening, and it's really going by fast. But I'm just trying to connect some dots and pick up some of these pieces and try to put together this puzzle. See how I'm doing here so far. So if I'm not mistaken, this is what I got. All right, so we got DOGE has let the dogs out. We know that much, and they're actually not dogs. Let me rephrase that. Elon Musk has released the alpha bloodhounds out to run down these scumbags, and they're hunting them down fast, and they're finding a lot of stuff. All right, so if we're looking at the DEI stuff and the transgender stuff going out to all these other countries, and we're finding all this money out here, well, we're not finding any people. Like, okay, so where's the money going? So I'm thinking this is just an excuse that the Dems have been using to clean this money. They're sending this money, they're washing it, and they're just getting it back because these subjects are just subjects that people just look away from. Nobody wants to really deal with it or care about it. And these people in these other countries, they don't care nothing about it either. So follow me on this. The Dems are always talking about nobody's above the law, nobody's above the law. Well, what about the preemptive pardons that Biden issued to his family and all these other people? So how are we supposed to find out if anybody did anything wrong if we can't bring them into court and investigate that? So that's a big – I hate to sound like a broken record. I'm just saying this stuff connects. And to me, it just seems like this is something out of a Clinton playbook, sending this money and washing it, cleaning it. And the Obamas use these initiatives, these DEI, transgender stuff. And the Bidens are just a puppet that was just, yeah, okay, so I think somebody's been pulling the strings all along, but really, I think it's
here's what I would say. The levels of government inefficiency, Stephen, the amount of waste, for fraud and abuse, let's set that aside for a moment. Government has been wasting money for a long, long time, probably the entirety of my lifetime. So the amount of waste has gone up considerably. The amount of fraud, when you're seeing some of these programs, they can only account, these programs are worthwhile and all that, I'll just pick program A out of the sky. I don't have any numbers in front of me, but when you have a program that claims that it's spending $10 million on good aid, or I'm trying to keep the numbers simple, Stephen. $10 million on something, and they can only account for an actual million of that dollar. Those dollars actually go into the program. Well, that's $9 million of either waste, fraud, or abuse. And I'll give them a certain level of administration cost if it's a good program, but it sure as hell shouldn't be 90%. And we all know that. Inherently, we all know that. And instinctively, because it's Donald Trump and by extension Elon Musk and by further extension the Republican Party that's doing something about this, the Democrats are reflexively against it. And it's an issue that 80% of the American people are in favor of investigating if you take politics out of it.
Yeah, well, and just look at this U.S. aid. This is just the first stone that we've turned over. So, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to come. There's going to be a lot more findings. And I hope they keep it up, and I hope they don't get blocked. I think the people that are out here fighting them in courts trying to block this, they're just, puppets themselves. They're just trying to push the agendas, and they don't realize the whole fact of the matter is about this wasteful spending, and it's about our money, my money, your money, and everybody else's hard-earned dollars that have been thrown away and wasted. And actually, I say again, I think it's just been washed and cleaned and went went back into the bank accounts and into the pockets of.
Well, we're going to find out. A lot of people are howling. They don't want us to find out. We're going to find out, Stephen. Thank you for the call. This is, as you say, just the beginning of this process, and it's going to be an ongoing process. No matter how much the Democrats howl and scream, you know, their biggest thing on social media platforms is to say, "Well, Elon Musk isn't uncovering anything." Well, Elon Musk is uncovering enough that they're filing lawsuits to try to stop him at every aspect and every turn of what he's trying to do. Now, we've gone over how the president has empowered Elon Musk. He used the U.S. digital service created by Barack Obama in 2014 to expand the authority and put DOGE under that umbrella. He renamed it the Department of Government Efficiency. Why did Barack Obama create initially, through the executive branch of government, the U.S. digital service to begin with? He created it in order to better and more effectively administer the services of government. Is that not what DOGE is for? That's their charter mission statement. Yet they've expanded it beyond the digital footprint. They've expanded it beyond the technological issues that existed in 2014 and beyond. And there was a reason to have it when Barack Obama did it, no question. Well, they've expanded well beyond that now to say we're going to look at every agency, at every aspect of the executive branch of government where we have control, and we're going to make sure that we're spending the taxpayer dollars wisely. You know, Congress appropriates based on a belief that those monies that are going out the door are going to be spent appropriately, and now we are establishing that they are not. Guys, I cannot tell you how excited I am about this. Are you? Do you not feel it? Do you not feel excitement? All of our lives. How long have y'all been listening to talk radio? I mean, how long? Phil Valentine and Dan and Brian Wilson and all the rest of the guys that have been on Super Talk, if you've lived here for all of your life. I've been doing this for 25 years now. I've been doing this for half of my life. Believe it or not. I started when I was 26, and I'm not saying anything except that it's been a blessing to be a part of this format and this genre and what we do on a day-to-day basis for that length of time. And the entire length of time, we talk about it, and everybody shrugs their shoulders and says, well, what are you going to do? We can't get to the bottom of it for some reason. We're learning why we can't get to the bottom of it now. And we're actually digging in. And I have a feeling that this time, you know, I guess maybe folks felt this way when Reagan came into office to a certain degree. I was a little too young for that. Maybe y'all can help me out on it. I mean, is this the way that it felt when Reagan said that it's morning again in America and we're going to do something about spending and we're going to cut taxes and we're going to see the economy grow again? I don't know how much he dug into waste, fraud, and abuse at that time. Maybe a little more than I'm giving credit for. But my goodness gracious, this feels real. And if you aren't sure, if you want it and you want to believe it and you're not sure if it's real, look at how the political left is reacting. Look at how they're screaming. And now they are using the same lawfare that they attempted to use to prevent Donald Trump from being president of the United States to begin with, or second term. They're using that same lawfare to try to stop Donald Trump in his presidency. You know, first time around it was Russian collusion, and we demand a special prosecutor, and sadly that was allowed to happen. I feel bad for Senator Jeff Sessions, who became Attorney General, who was stuck between a rock and a hard place at the time. I know a lot of people criticize him for that. I don't. I understand why he was doing what he was doing. I understand that they put him in a bind because they suggested that he was a part of the investigation. Anyway, without reliving that, they used Russian interference and Russian collusion to stymie Donald Trump first time around, and he still got more accomplished than Joe Biden did in his entire 4 years. During his first term, Trump did. And now in the first 4 weeks, less than 4 weeks, he's gotten more accomplished than Joe Biden ever got accomplished. And now they are attempting to use lawfare against him. Now, Donald Trump has said repeatedly, said it from the Oval Office just the other day, that he's not going to ignore court orders. He's not going to create this quote-unquote so-called constitutional crisis, but what he will do is recognize that these are activist judges that are gumming up the works and making the work that he's trying to do on behalf of the American people even harder. It's sad that they're doing this, but it's what they're doing. We'll talk to Jay St Clair about some of these cases, too, including the Labor Department. The federal judge today indefinitely delayed a ruling on the Labor Department's request to block Elon Musk's government efficiency team from accessing internal system data, telling both parties only, quote, "you will hear from me." We'll try to figure out what the heck that means coming up at 4:05 with Jay St. Clair. Thomas is next up on a First Amendment Freestyle Friday. Thomas, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, Brother Murphy. I'm going to get straight to it because I got really a lot of different ideas. But first off, I asked my mom yesterday how she felt learning about some of the truth around JFK's assassination, considering she was just in elementary school when it first happened. And her biggest takeaway is that, you know, she still has hope for a glorious future, and she's very relieved about a lot of the things coming out right now. But our biggest concern is what consequences should we actually expect to see? Like, I expect people to be in prison for this stuff. It's treasonous. And so if things go the way that they should, what should we expect in terms of overarching consequences?
So you mean specific to the JFK files or in general?
Any of this stuff, because we're talking about fraud, we're talking about stealing from the taxpayers of the United States. We're bringing it all to light. Besides bringing it to light, should people not go to prison?
Yeah, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and in some cases, maybe, especially in more recent and more egregious cases. But if we shed a light and watch the cockroaches scatter, Thomas, I think I understand exactly where you're coming from, and this is what I would say. We're going to have to do a lot of forgiving where maybe some of us believe that we shouldn't. I don't think that we're going to send, en masse a lot of government people to prison. Maybe some of the more egregious examples of fraud and abuse. But in terms of waste, like knowingly wasting the taxpayer dollars, I seriously doubt that, parts of the system are going to be held to account from a criminal perspective. We're just going to have to. I don't know that trust in the government can really get much lower than it already is. So I don't fear eroding trust in government. I think this is the beginning of building that trust back up.
Right. And so the second part of my question is, with all this information coming out, there's a bit of a fear in the discussion I had with my family yesterday about the populace becoming tuned out to it. Kind of like, so what? Yeah, at this point, it's just, well, yeah, of course the government's corrupt. I don't even care, really. And they could be engaged. And I feel like that's the most dangerous thing that could possibly happen, because what they're doing is wonderful, and everyone needs to know about it. I feel like you just said a minute ago, it's literally saving our country. And for that, I'm all for it. Let's do everything we can to scrape up every single cent that we possibly can from every corner of the world, because it should be used for us in our best interest, which it clearly hasn't been. So I really appreciate everything you do, Brother Murphy.
Well, I mean, thank you, Thomas. I think it's a very thought-out call in as much as you have to worry about shaking the very foundations of government and how that's going to further erode public trust. Like I say, I don't know that you can get much more eroded than it already is, but perhaps it could go down even to rock bottom. But then you begin the process of building it back up through openness and transparency. Even in the midst of all of this, we remain the greatest country on God's green earth. I think we remain the greatest country not because of our government, but because of our people and because of our basic belief, the foundational principles of the country, that we are founded on liberty. We're founded on freedom. We're a foundational liberty-based system. And with that in mind, all of this that is done to cover up the malfeasance and the fraud and all of that we're talking about is designed to get us back to those basic principles and to, in the process, shrink the size of government and shrink government's influence over our daily lives. That will come with a certain level of personal responsibility, too. There's no question about that. It is 51 after the hour. We are, man, oh, man, just flying by so far this afternoon. It is the Matt Murphy Show, First Amendment Freestyle Friday on Super Talk. The purpose of pest control is quite simple. It is to prevent, obviously, you want to prevent the bugs and the roaches and the mice and the rats and, the ants and silverfish and the rest of it coming into your home or getting on your property. Well, why do you want that? Well, they're creepy and they're icky and they're nasty, and you don't want any of that, but you don't want the disease either. J.K. Brister, Erica Brister, they understand all of these things, and U.S. Pest does it better than anyone else. They encourage you to go ahead. If you suspended pest service over the winter break during the holiday season and all, you need to get back after it because spring's here before you know it. Now, if you're not satisfied with your current pest control company, when you make the switch, U.S. Pest is going to give you that initial visit for free, and that is a $200 value on them at U.S. Pest. Thank you, J.K., and thank you, Erica. Why not go ahead to uspest.com to find out more, uspest.com to find out more, or give them a call at 590-1260. Tell them I sent you to the one and only U.S. Pest.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Real quick from the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, Highway 109 southbound at East Boiling Springs Road is currently closed. Channel 4 is reporting there's been a fatal crash at that location. We've got an update on the D.C. plane crash investigation, and apparently those European leaders did not like Vice President J.D. Vance's speech at the Munich Security Conference today. We'll let you hear some of that coming up at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I wonder which side they are on. He should ask him. Oh, my goodness. I can't get it out of my head, Chris.
Well, I had just gotten it out of my head, and then
I can't.
And Chad put it back in there.
Yeah, I blame Benson.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness, I can't get. I mean, I told the story during the crossover with Chad Benson. I'm not kidding. I'm in the shower this morning and I'm humming a song. Oh my Lord! Which side is the soap on? Just don't bend over for it.
Wow.
Yeah. 615-737-9986. If you want to ask, speaking of Jay St Clair, he's coming up in just a few minutes. And if you have any questions for him, go ahead and get them in on the super text line. If you don't like to call, if you want to call in, you can do that as well for our Fri-Jay visit. He is our legal correspondent. He is my life consultant and my best friend. And I would love to get some questions from you to Jay. I'll ask about the Labor Department. I'll ask about a few other things going on with this lawfare against Donald Trump. But that's coming up in about 7 or 8 minutes or so. Alan is next in Pulaski. Hello, Alan.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm great, Alan. Hope you are.
I want to talk about the vaccine.
Hey, Alan.
JFK Jr.
Alan.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yes, sir.
Is there a way for us to maybe get your phone a little better situated? Because I can barely hear you. It's very muffled.
Yeah. Just a minute.
Okay, that's all good. It's all good. No, it's all good.
I got hearing aids. I'm trying.
Oh no! I'm sorry. I just want to make sure everybody can hear you. Oh no! Oh, Alan's gone. Alan, I didn't mean to do all that. I just I wanted to make sure everybody could hear you clearly, Alan. Hopefully, Alan will call back. And Alan, I wasn't saying that in any way to offend you. I just wanted to make sure that I was having trouble. And if I'm having trouble, I know the folks out there are having trouble. So call us back, Alan. We'll get to you. Grant, you as well. All of your telephone calls, particularly you Fri-Jayers out there. If you have a call for Jay St Clair, give it up. 615-737-9986. What about kickbacks, Murphy? Well, kickbacks are different. Look, if you're just a part of the system and the system's wasting a lot of money, that's one thing. But if you're taking direct kickbacks, that's going to be you take those cases on an individual basis, right? All of this is new. All of it's new, and it's very exciting. I'll tell you what else is exciting. Ken Weaver's newscast, and that's coming up right now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Four o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Again, Highway 109 southbound at East Boiling Springs Road currently closed. Sumner County Sheriff's Office asking everyone find an alternate route until further notice. Channel 4 is reporting that there's a fatal crash at that location. And most of Middle Tennessee is under a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather this weekend. We'll tell you more about it during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. How about an update on the D.C. plane crash investigation?
The pilots of the Black Hawk helicopter may have been getting bad altitude data on their instruments and may have thought that they were lower than they actually were. NTSB investigators say between what the pilots were recorded saying to each other and data they now have, the onboard altitude readings may have been wrong. NTSB Chair Jennifer Homendy.
It's possible, but we have a lot of work to do till we get to that.
She says there is no indication the Black Hawk pilots ever saw that they were about to run into the American Airlines regional jet.
That's Alex Stone reporting. A reversal for some government workers laid off at the National Nuclear Security Administration. This reversal over security concerns. The badges now for some of these employees getting turned back on. They're getting access again to their system, so this is now being reversed. But that was a significant move at first for them to do this for these hundreds of employees. The NNSA staff saying, though they feel like they're in a holding pattern right now because of just how tenuous this move has been for them? We're hearing about the reaction Vice President J.D. Vance is getting from his speech today at the Munich Security Conference. Ian Panel.
German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius calling Vance's remarks about European democracy not acceptable, adding, if I understood him correctly, he compared conditions in parts of Europe with those in authoritarian regimes. Vance on Friday also met with Germany's far-right AfD party leader. He earlier met with Ukrainian President Zelensky, with Zelensky saying Ukraine wants to achieve peace, but that they require real security guarantees.
Well, the vice president in his speech called out Romania for canceling its elections due to concerns about Russian interference, religious persecution in Europe, cases where those praying in front of abortion clinics were heavily fined, and the Munich Security Conference banning populist lawmakers from taking the stage.
The threat that I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within.
He's talking about freedom of speech. And right now in Nashville, a 37-year-old man faces charges for allegedly following other men into bathrooms, taking pictures of them, then texting them sexual messages. In February of last year, one victim told police he found a note on his car with a phone number asking him to call because a credit card had been found near his vehicle. Then he started getting sexual text messages, which included a photo of him in a bathroom where he worked in the Athens Way building. Well, the suspect was arrested yesterday, then released on $20,000 bond. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Still got that stalled vehicle causing problems on the East Loop going eastbound. The left lane is blocked right there at James Robertson Parkway. And then in Berry Hill, got a crash reported by police. This is going to be 440 eastbound right before 65. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, kids. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show, Super Talk 99. Oh, and the guy just told you that. Why am I telling you? Y'all know where you are. Y'all know what we're doing. Got a little Friday action happening right now. We call it First Amendment Freestyle Friday. That's 3 until 7 o'clock on these Fridays, and many of you taking advantage of that. We also have Fri-Jay upcoming in mere moments, and we will get into that. Get your questions in, 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986, either via phone call or via super text. So I got this, and I don't know what the nature of this is, but 4577 is written in and said, we here in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and he says, I do live here. I have a California number still. That's okay. I've got a Birmingham number. I'm always going to have a Birmingham number. I'm not changing my cell phone number. I don't have a home phone. You got a home phone?
No.
Nope.
Yeah. Home phones are over.
Yeah.
I haven't had one in probably 20 years.
I don't understand why my bill on my cell phone thing keeps going up. And I have an extra number that I used when I was in the campground in the Grand Old RV Resort Convalescence Home in Batmy Market.
Is that where that was?
Thank you so much.
I remember.
It gives me such joy. And it really, the listeners, they need it in their lives. Yes, that's where that was. I had one of those hotspots that you use for Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And so I've got a number for that. But guys, has anybody else noticed their cell phone bill going up? And I don't want to name names, but
nope. Mine's $25 every month.
What?
Yeah, you're paying too much.
I am paying too much.
Most people are.
I'm paying like $200 for I think 3 lines.
Yeah, I pay $25 for each line.
That's
really
what?
Yep. Unlimited everything.
Weaver, are you somewhere in the middle or what?
I'm going to have to ask Jennifer about that because I don't handle the finances.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And I'd know if we were getting exorbitant charges because she's got some Irish in her.
Anyway, one way or the other, we don't have phone lines in our homes anymore. So obviously, I don't even notice I used to notice the area codes a lot. I don't even notice the area codes anymore.
I still got my Idaho number.
Do you now?
Yeah.
What's the area code over there?
208.
208. See, I'm 205. I like the old 205 number.
Yeah, I'm not changing mine either.
Nah.
Because I'll never remember my number.
You a 615? You been here long enough to be a 615?
Yeah, when we moved to Tennessee, I got a 615 number for each of us, and so that's what we're going to stick with no matter where we are.
It's amazing how addicted I am to my phone now, and I recognize this addiction, how addicted I am, not to the phone, obviously. I rarely talk on the phone, but to everything else that goes along with it. Because I, believe it or not, held out a long time. I felt like I held out. I held out until I got fired in 2007. I was working in Birmingham for Crawford Broadcasting, and they decided that they didn't like my way of doing things anymore, and so they summarily dismissed me. I think I've told this story before where the guy that fired me, the first thing he told me was, I'm sorry, and you're not supposed to do that if you're firing somebody. I'll tell you the story one of these days. But anyway, and then I realized I might want to have a cell phone if I'm looking for a job.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
So I went to get a cell phone in 2007, and I was told I was late, real late to the game.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, is that late?
Yeah, I got my first one in 2000, probably 2000.
Okay.
Something like that.
Weaver, you remember?
I cannot remember when I got my first one.
Man. So how quickly we went from, hey, you need a cell phone to, hey, I don't need a home line anymore.
Yep.
And now I don't know of a lot of people that have them.
Nope.
I mean, just don't. One way or the other, here's the point, and then we'll get to Fri-Jay. We've been here in Hendersonville. Yes, I do have a California number. Our post office has been bombarded with illegals trying to get passports every single day. You can't even get to the post office for the last 3 weeks. If you can pass that along, please do. And my question was, in Hendersonville? Not in California. In Hendersonville, you're talking about. So does anyone else have a corroboration of the report that, I mean, and I dangerous to assume that they're illegals just because they're Hispanic, and I don't want to unduly stereotype, but, most illegal aliens are from south of the border, so I understand why you would place that there. But, yeah, I'm just, that's news to me. Speaking of news, we'll go over the headlines and figure out exactly what Jay St Clair thinks about it because, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our life consultant, our legal correspondent, good Tennessee man, my best friend and gambling buddy. It's Fri-Jay, everybody. Good morning, Americans. It's Fri-Jay. Yeah. It is time to introduce the man, the myth, The legend, who it's my understanding will be back on the track for the first time in 2025. It's my understanding because, well, he told me that earlier today. He is Jay St Clair. Hello, Jay.
Hey, buddy.
What's going on?
Well, it's just defending another day of defending the poor and downtrodden, man.
I have another question besides what's going on, Jay.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
If I were any better, I would be Justin Allgaier.
Justin? Oh, I think I know where you're going with this one.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Allgaier.
He had a really good evening yesterday, man.
I missed the end because my boy Chase, and for those who don't know, Jay and I are motorsports fans generally, NASCAR fans specifically. We, during the season, will from time to time diverge away from the law to talk a little racing. And it was the duels last night at Daytona. And I watched, I listened after the show to a little bit of the first race, and I missed a lot of the second race. And apparently, Allgaier's driving for Junior. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
His very first Winston Cup car, and they made the show. They didn't have a charter. And so I think there were 9 cars competing for 4 open spots. Mm-hmm. And they made it in.
Well, that's pretty cool. I did see the clip of Junior reacting to it, and they asked the question. I don't begrudge him asking the question, but is it more nerve wracking to drive or to be the owner? And right. I mean, I guess they're just much different things. But yeah, he is so his answer was great. I don't know if you saw it, but he's I just love racing, man. I love every bit about it. I love racing. I do too.
Well, we'll see where it goes. There's this odd thing. I can't remember the goomer's name. It was one of these rappers that was bought into Trackhouse Racing, and it's odd. And he's going to sing, I think, at the race Sunday. I can't remember his name. But he said that they're ending their relationship. But on a positive side, and good luck to them in the future. And then he says something like, "Go Dale."
Huh.
Yeah, and so there's wild speculation on the internet that what's happening is Junior is going to buy a piece of Trackhouse Racing.
Oh, and get in on the charter on that front,
and go full-time Cup racing. He's talked about that, for a long, long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that he has the last name that is royalty in the sport, but that charter system is a very interesting. I mean, do you understand why it's that way? Why it's the way that it is, Jay? Because I don't.
I don't understand it fully, but yes, I absolutely can tell you why it is the way it is, man. One word:
money. Yeah.
It's about money, and it's about money really kind of flowing all the ways. The money in that sport flows in a lot of different directions, and it's really kind of hard to follow all of it. Mm-hmm. But I think what they were really after, the teams were after, was to have value in the teams, rather than just having a bunch of old junk racing equipment around. Well, they got value in the teams now. You know what a charter costs you? They can sell their charters. You know what the market rate is?
Well, and before I answer, for those who don't know who are listening, charters are just guaranteed spots.
You get to start every race.
You get okay.
You're guaranteed to be in every race.
And
there's extra prize money that's given out to them.
Okay. I would guess a charter is $20 million.
$35 million.
What?
$35 million.
Just for the charter.
You don't own a wrench.
Yeah, that's not for cars.
The race car.
That's right. Yeah.
That's just for the right to show up and compete.
Otherwise, do you have to have a charter? Or, I mean, I guess you could go.
No. No. Well, so right now the rule is there's 40 cars to start. And, how many charters are there guaranteed to start? Mm-hmm. And I think right now there's 36 charter teams. So there's 4 open spots. That's what they call them, are open. And so you just show up. And if only 4 cars show up, they're guaranteed to start the race. If 6 open cars show up, then those 6 open cars qualify, and the fastest 4 make the race. The other 2 go home.
Wow.
And that's what happened at Daytona. I think that 4 cars ended up going home at Daytona. But, Matt, in the old days, there'd be 60 cars show up.
Right.
To qualify. Back then, there was 42 spots.
Right.
And so, that if you don't have a charter, you show up, and not a lot of cars are showing up. And you may be effectively guaranteed a starting spot in every race, but a couple of races there may be 6 cars show up for 4 spots.
Well, Jay, and you and I have nerded out over this over the years, and you had you introduced me to Jimmy Means, who was a Huntsville race car driver and one of the last owner driver independents. That drove. He didn't drive at the highest level. Drove at Xfinity up until what? I mean, he had a driver.
Well, no, he was a Cup racer. He raced Cup for many years.
Right. I mean, when he became just solely an owner, I guess he was just Xfinity, right?
I don't know. He may have had a Cup car for a while, even somebody else driving his Cup car. But then, he got priced out of that, and he dropped down to Xfinity.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a rich man's game, I mean, gone are the days of, I mean, and I know in Tennessee they had a bunch of them too. I mean, Sterling Marlin is one of them. I mean, Darrell Waltrip, for goodness sake,
absolutely
is right here in this backyard. But I just, it's sad to feel that way, that you have to get hooked up with multi-gajillionaires in order to make it to the upper levels. But that's just the reality. That's the reality of a lot of things nowadays, sadly.
No, it is. That's right. Everything's got more expensive. Y'all go try to buy a dozen eggs, man.
Did you see that? There's a meme running around. I mean, all the liberals want to blame Trump, which is silly because most of egg price. I mean, there's some inflationary rates, but most of it's because of the stupid bird flu, and they had to kill multi-millions of egg-laying chickens. But I posted it up where it's go expensive this year, and it's for Valentine's Day, and they got it's like a little jewelry box, and the guy's opening the jewelry box, and it's an egg. It says he went to he went to Kroger. Uh-oh. Jay, you there?
Funny.
Yeah, that's good. All right, Jay, we got lots of questions coming in, and obviously I've got one for you.
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead. Uh-oh. Hey, figure out if we've got a good connection with Jay. I'll tell you what, take a time out, and then I'm going to figure out if our connection is still good with Jay, because I don't know if it is or not. But it's time for a timeout anyway. It's 20 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WT, back with Fri-Jay in just a moment.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Lots of preparation due to the threat of flooding here in Middle Tennessee. We'll go over that and more coming up at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, if you got plans this weekend, boy, oh boy, I hope they're inside because there will be a lot of rain coming and some nasty inclement weather. As a result of that system moving through the area, we'll keep you up to date on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's 24 minutes after the hour in the midst of Fri-Jay with our good friend Jay St Clair, our legal correspondent, answering your legal questions. We've got a number of them on the line already and a number of questions on the Super Text line, too. I'm going to get in front of it with a quick question regarding a subject that we talked about last week, Jay, and that is some of the lawsuits being filed in court against activities involving DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. Specifically, I mean, were you surprised? I don't think you would have been based on your commentary last weekend. I think you prognosticate over these things pretty well, especially when we're talking about employment matters. But the unions had a filing regarding making it. Well, I don't want to misspeak. So the government gave a timeline for people to announce their retirement from government service, right?
Yeah, an early out. They were
early
offering
out.
everybody an early out, right?
And the unions objected, and so the judge said that they don't have standing.
Yeah, can you hear me? I know I've got a bad connection.
No, you sound good. You sound good.
Okay, good. Yeah, so the unions came in and said, Judge, this is awful and terrible. It's the end of the world. You need to put this on hold, for a week, 10 days. Okay. And I don't think the DOGE people really minded that, Matt, because people had not been taking it. And so they didn't really bother them that much. And then the judge,
I'll tell you what we'll do. Pull him down.
right? Yeah, you have to have an injury.
And just pull him down, and just maybe we revert to phone, I guess, if that's what we need to do. Sadly, Jay, I'm sorry if you can hear me. We're just having some intermittent cutouts. I don't know if it's a weather-related deal or what. Sometimes the interweb is a wonderful thing, and sometimes the interweb is not a wonderful thing. So I think what we'll do, I'll talk to Alan in Pulaski. He's back. Alan called us at the end of last hour, and let's shift over to phone and see if that works a little bit better. Alan is next up. Alan, thank you for your call. Good afternoon. How are you? Hey, Alan. Well, heck, maybe it's on our end. Who knows? Alan, you there? Well, Alan's having trouble, too. Well, let's see Jerry. Maybe Jerry's got a thought on it in White House. Hey, Jerry.
Hey, how you doing?
What's up, Jerry?
Hey, I just wondered, y'all was talking about old-time racers. You know, Millersville has got one that's been around forever. Wayne Day's been a car owner right there in Millersville, still has a shop. Been down in Usamona Beach this week racing, and I think out of 5 races, they got 3 first and a second.
What was the name of the driver again?
Well, Hunter, I don't remember his last name, but David Reagan drove for Wayne and
Okay.
the Green Boys. Yeah, there's been a bunch of them.
Yeah, I remember David
He's
Reagan.
been around since the Bush Series. Jerry Sisko drove for him back in the Bush Series, and they won the championship one year.
Wow. Absolutely love it. No, there's a lot of great drivers from this part of the world, no doubt about it, Mr. Jerry.
Yeah, take you a trip up to Millersville one day and see a shop. They still build cars.
Well, I'm gonna do it. Absolutely. I love taking day trips, and I love Millersville, and I love racing. So I love all 3 of those things. We have downshifted back to the OG. That would be the phone lines with Jay St Clair. Let's see if we. Sorry about that, Jay. I apologize. I know it's frustrating.
No worries. I think it's on my end, so everything's good.
Well, you sound great now. You were just telling us about the the filing happened through the unions, right? So,
right.
And the judge in the case said what?
Yeah, well, the judge said, okay, we'll put it on hold for a little bit, and then the lawyers argued about it a little bit more, and then the government said, well, the unions don't have standing, right? They have to have an actual injury here. It's not the employees suing, it's the unions, and the judge looks at the unions and said, well, how do y'all have a dog in this fight? And this goes back to what you and I talked about last week, man. Guess what they said?
What? We don't?
Well, no. Well, Judge, if all these people quit, we're going to lose union dues.
Follow the green.
They had to tell the truth to stay in court. And the judge said, well, that's not good enough. And so now that part of it is free to open up. But I don't think a lot of people are going to take it. But, overall, here's what I have to say about this overall, man, for 50,000 feet. First of all, I cannot believe the amount of planning that the Trump team did to get ready to go into office. It is incredible. They've been thinking about this for months, man, if not longer. I mean, for example, the DOGE, this new DOGE thing is not new, man. They didn't just create it out of thin air. They grafted it onto an executive agency that was created by Obama.
Right.
It's brilliant because you remember when they rolled out Obamacare and the website crashed and it was just a huge embarrassment. And they said, we got to do something about this. So they created an agency to improve the computer systems throughout all the federal government.
Yep.
And gave the people in that agency access to all the computers in the federal government. Well, some incredibly bright person with the Trump team saw that and said, oh, here, let's just use this. And we'll just put our people in there. And they already, by statute, have authority to access all the computers in the federal government.
Well,
really?
It was, however, and I want to talk about this right after Ken Weaver's newscast. The Labor Department says, hold on a second. They don't think they have the right. I mean, and there are a number of other departments that are doing the same thing, Treasury and the like. We'll talk to Jay St. Clair about that in just a moment. Plus your questions. John's hanging on there, and a lot of them coming in on the Super Text line. We'll get to them during Fri-Jay on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's news time.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Channel 4's Jordan James says there's been a lot of preparation due to the threat of flooding this weekend.
Over the last few days, preparations have been underway for this severe weather, which could cause body of water to rise, prompting multiple agencies to take action. I can tell you that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers tell us that they have emptied flood storage zones to collect runoff and prevent downstream flooding. Meanwhile, Nashville Office of Emergency Management says that crews will be monitoring flood-prone areas, and a swiftwater rescue teams are on standby. In addition to those entities, Metro Water Services has dispatched crews across the city who have been unclogging drains and removing debris. For those living in low-lying areas, they're trying their best to remain optimistic.
Yeah, city leaders are asking if you find a drain covered by debris, you remove it to prevent ponding. Equipment malfunction, dropped messages looked at by the NTSB in the D.C. plane crash investigation.
NTSB investigators say they have now confirmed through data the Black Hawk helicopter was flying at an altitude of 278 feet above the 200-foot limit, but they're looking into the possibility the Black Hawk pilots were getting bad data in the cockpit and may have thought that they were lower. NTSB Chair Jennifer Homendy.
There may be bad data. We're looking at, were they seeing something different in the cockpit?
Her team has found just before the crash, the American Airlines regional jet drastically tried to increase pitch.
Alex Stone reporting. A second federal judge, this time in Seattle, pausing President Trump's executive order halting federal funding for gender-affirming care for people under 19. Washington State's Attorney General Nick Brown.
In this case, we had over 100 declarants submit their personal stories about the impact of this illegal and unconstitutional and hateful order. And their bravery allowed for justice to be done today.
And more protests against DOGE. This is Bonnie Gin in Boston, where protesters carried signs and chanted, "Stop the coup."
This is an absolutely unprecedented march of over 100 different organizations across a plethora of different issues, whether that's climate justice, fighting the criminal legal system, immigrants' rights, workers' rights, coming together from all across Massachusetts.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Eastern Split got a crash. The right lane on-ramp is blocked 40 eastbound from eastbound 2440. And then Metro Center got a crash. Right shoulder blocked 65 northbound after Rosa Parks Boulevard. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
So, friends, through the raindrops and in between them, perhaps you're out and about over the weekend. I would encourage you, if you're thinking about cooking up something special tonight or over the weekend, maybe it's a soup or a stew because it's, chilly outside, rainy weekend, or perhaps it's something special for that loved one in your life. Go to Savory Spice. They've got all of the great stuff that you need to make the special meal even more special. The delicious Savory Spice, 2 locations to serve you. One is in L&L Market, right on Charlotte Pike in Nashville, and the other down in Franklin, just off the square. When you walk in, you smell the smells, the aroma of the different flavors of the spices and the seasonings and the salts and all of the rest. They have blends unlike any that you've ever tasted, some that you can't get anywhere else right there at Savory Spice. They have their own brands, plus they have so many others. The Spice and Easy line of products is a wonderful example of what they do, because if you're not that good around the kitchen, they'll take care of you. You got all the ingredients right there on the package. You just follow those instructions. All the spices are right there in there. And you go to town and you make a delicious meal for you and your family. That's what it's all about at Savory Spice. Plus, great gift-giving ideas at Savory Spice, too. I like to say you up your food game by upping your spice game. You up your spice game, the one and only Savory Spice. Say hi to Holly and David and the rest of the crew at Savory Spice. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It's a sign the weekend is almost here. Music behind our Fri-Jay sessions together with yours truly, Matt Murphy and Jay St Clair. He's on the phone with us. Typically, we've had him on the old YouTubes, the Zoom link. The intraweb has given us issues, so we downshift to the OG. That's the phone lines. Jay joins us. So, Jay, real quick on the labor front, and then we'll get to calls and questions because there's a lot of those coming in. So a federal judge indefinitely delayed a ruling on the Labor Department's request to block Elon Musk's team from accessing internal system data. I mean, this is just a long – there's a laundry list of them, but what does that mean to you when the judge says that, he said, you will hear from me.
Right.
And it's an indefinite – what does that mean?
Yeah, so here's the way that works, man. When they're going in and they're filing for temporary restraining orders, which is a kind of an extraordinary remedy. We go in, we just want things stopped, Judge, for like 2 weeks until we could come in here and really make our arguments. And no one's really going to get hurt by that. That's what they're saying. And they've found a number of judges that have said, okay, we can do that. That is of no real consequence, man. What percentage of federal judges around this country do you think would love to sabotage the Trump administration?
Oh, gosh.
And there are some.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't venture a guess.
But, yeah. Well, let's say it's 1%.
Mm-hmm.
1%. Do you think it's at least 1%?
Oh, yeah, no question. I would say even as much as 10%. But yeah, we can go with that one.
Yeah, well, let's say 10%. There's 1,400 federal judges around the country. So 10% of that would be 140.
Right.
It's just 10% of the judges, right? That's 90% of the judges. Or well, even if it's just 10%, it's 140 judges.
Mm-hmm.
It's real easy to go out. They know who those 140 judges are.
Right.
So it's easy to get a case in front of that judge. It's just classic judge shopping. They know who the judges are. They know how to get these cases assigned to them. So we're only, let's analogize it to football. We are 4 minutes into the first quarter, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. It's just 4 minutes into the first quarter. It's just the first possession. I mean, Trump had the ball. Trump got the ball first and scored. Went right down the field and scored.
Right.
Okay, well, now the other team's got the ball. Okay, they came down and kicked the field goal.
Mm-hmm.
Trump's still up 7-3, man, and it's 5 minutes into the first quarter.
Mm.
He has the much better legal argument on most of this stuff. Some of it's going to be a challenge. The birthright citizenship, I think, is going to be the hardest one of those for him to win. But we got to wait and see what happens till all 4 quarters have been played. Here's my prediction for most of it. Have you seen this incredible thing where just outside the Oval Office, where you walk down the hall and you come in the Oval Office, almost every visitor to the Oval Office, this is how they enter the Oval Office.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what he has hanging on the wall?
I do, but I'm going to let you tell everybody.
Well, this is how I predict this is going to end. What he has hanging there on the wall is the mugshot that was taken by the Georgia people to humiliate him.
Right.
And it is now a trophy that he has posted outside the White House.
Got his mugshot in the hallway leading into the Oval Office. That's brilliant.
It was like a trophy. And that's the way I predict this is going to end. I mean, lawfare has not worked out well for them so far, man. And I don't think it's going to here. You know, some of the, like, birthright citizenship, that's a heavy lift. And they picked that fight, and that's going to have to go to the Supreme Court. You know, some of this other stuff, the across-the-board ban on transgender surgeries, we'll see. That case, I think, is pending in front of the Supreme Court right now, coming out of Tennessee. And so that I don't think there's been a decision in that case yet. So some of those are, you know, kind of maybe close questions. Some of them aren't. To me, the big one is rooting out this fraud. And the judge issued this very confusing order saying, you know, you quit finding fraud. And everybody went crazy. And the judge said, well, I didn't say that. Well, yes, you did.
Yep.
And so he had to come back and clarify his order. And so they're still in there rooting out the fraud and or maybe theft. What's the terms they use? Fraud, something else.
Waste, fraud, and abuse.
Waste, fraud, and abuse. Mm-hmm. And so the judge said, no, to the extent the statutes that y'all are operating, we're clever enough to fit yourself under. To the extent those statutes empower you to do that, you can still do it. So now, look, they're up 7-3, Matt, and we're only 5 minutes into the first quarter. And I like our coach a lot better than theirs. Coach Musk knows what he's doing.
I feel good about it. I feel real good about it. I feel good about going to some of these telephone calls, too. John is next up in Nashville with a question for Jay. John, you're on with Jay St. Clair on the Matt Murphy Show. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, guys. Hey, Jay, I got a question for you.
Yes.
My son was arrested mistakenly. This actually happened within the last 24 hours for an incident that involved somebody with the same last name and another person with the same similar first name. And I think they got the names mixed up, and his name ended up on a warrant that he had no idea about.
Right.
I mean, and we just found out about this incident. It was at a relative's house. It had nothing to do with him. So we don't know what to do.
What jurisdiction? Who arrested him? Who arrested him?
Oh, there was a warrant put out.
No, sir. Was it the Metro?
Yes,
Police?
It was Metro.
Well, go down to Metro Jail and talk to the people face to face and get it straight down. Just tell them it's a case of mistaken identity, but don't do it over the phone.
At the jail, we did that, but they got him out he's out on bond. He's got a court date.
Okay, well now you got to get a lawyer.
Okay,
you got to get a lawyer.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too.
You don't have to, but
if they've got the wrong names, is that actionable against them?
No. Well, no, not unless they did it on purpose. Listen, I wouldn't worry about suing them right now. First thing I'd worry about is getting the charges dropped against your son. And then that problem solved.
He wasn't involved.
Yeah.
So, it was a mistaken identity.
That's right. And no, unless they did it on purpose, which I highly doubt, you can't really sue the government for negligence.
John, I'm curious. I hesitate to ask, but I'm just curious. So when y'all told the police that this was clearly a mistaken identity, what was their response?
Well, they didn't tell the police. They arrested him. They didn't tell him what he's for until he got to the jail.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Who bailed him out?
I went down there.
Okay. Did you tell them that?
Yeah, they didn't. They were like, that's something that the courts will deal with. Okay.
Well, I guess that's where we are then. So, I hope it works out. I mean, you heard the man. Jay says get a lawyer.
Yeah, I figured that. All right, thank you, guys.
All right, sorry about that. I mean, I guess that happens from time to time, Jay, that, they think they got the right guy and they got the wrong guy.
Yeah, nobody's perfect. I mean, mistakes happen.
But, I mean, if your mindset is, that's probably a heavy lift. Like you say, I mean, you said it. I don't need to reiterate it, but you would probably have to demonstrate that they knew they were doing the wrong thing and they did it anyway, right?
No, I hear it a lot, man. People get sued, and the first thing they want to talk to me about is, well, can I countersue them? And my answer every time to that is, look, let's win the lawsuit first.
Right.
And then we'll worry about the countersuit later.
Right.
Yeah, I think what's in your best interest is to get out of lawsuits. And if you countersue it, you're just only going to prolong it.
That's
so
well
first thing you got to do is kill the nearest snake.
Mm-hmm.
And then worry about the other snake later.
Terry's in Clarksville with a question for Jay St. Clair. Terry, you're on.
Hey, Jay.
Hi, Terry.
I have a simple question about a will. I'm getting conflicting information. Is a will prepared by a lawyer, does it carry more weight than a will, like if I get off of LegalZoom and have it notarized by a notary public? Does one carry more weight than the other?
No, sir. It's not about weight. It's about whether it complies with the law and whether it is clear. So, no, it's not about weight. It's about, does it follow the law? And it's possible for people who are not lawyers to write perfectly good wills. It is more likely that a lawyer would write a good will than someone that's not a lawyer. But non-lawyers, the answer to your question is no, it does not carry any more weight. But I will say this, it is more likely to be defective in some manner. Am I being clear, Terry? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah, I understand.
Let me give you a perfect example. Someone that I know very well. I prepared a will for her mother, and off of LegalZoom, one of these online things, right? Well, that form did not require the witnesses' signatures to be notarized.
Mm.
And this was in Alabama. Well, in Alabama, that's a problem. A lawyer would not have done that. The signatures would have. It's very technical little things like this, Terry. And so what happened, if those signatures had been notarized, then it would just gone right through. Wouldn't have been any problem. But because this form that this person got off the internet did not have the signatures notarized, they had to go find those witnesses, Terry, bring them to court, and testify that was in fact their signatures.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a question about whether it carries more weight. It's a question about whether it is properly drafted.
Okay.
Terry,
yeah, that answers my question. I sure do appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you, Terry. Thank you. Thank you much for the call. I want to get one more quickly in here. Jamie is in Cookeville. Question for Jay St. Clair, Jamie?
Yes, please. So I just found out that in October of 2016, someone took out a payday loan in my name.
Wow.
Now, they refused to give me any kind of verification on this loan, and they said that if I asked for demanded verification, that it would just go straight to court. And I said, "Well,
are they trying to get you to pay off the loan, Jamie?"
Yes, $500. And I did not do this. I know better than that.
Right. And you've been in communication with the company, and you told them that you didn't take out the loan.
Yes.
Right. And then so what they're saying is, well, if you don't pay us, we're going to sue you.
That's what they said.
Here's what you can do, Jamie. You've got a couple of choices here. One is just sit back, do nothing, let him sue you, and then you can go in and defend yourself in court. You could do that. But here's door number 2, Jamie, and I think I like this better. I would sue them. And you can do this yourself. You don't need a lawyer to do this. You can go to General Sessions Court. Because, see, they're not going to go to court over $500, Jamie. They're just trying to intimidate you into paying it. I'm just telling you. I know how these companies operate. But if you sue them, they're not going to want to fool with it. And then they'll drop it. And you can find all the forms online for doing that. And I think the good news is, I always say there's the two things you need to file a lawsuit: a crayon and $400. I don't think the filing fee in General Sessions Court is $400.
Right.
It's like about $150. So I would look into, so you can just sit back and wait for them to sue you. I don't think they will. I think they're going to write it off. They'll probably turn it over to a debt collector, and they'll keep hounding you. That's what they do, is just harass you to get you to pay for something you don't owe. But if you want to go on offense and have a little fun, you can sue them. Hey, Jamie, you know how you fight fire?
With fire, yeah.
No,
okay.
with a hose.
With a hose.
With a hose.
Okay. Thank
That's
you.
from Andy Griffith.
Jamie,
That's
thank
on
you.
Andy Griffith.
I knew where you were going. You know how you fire fire? With fire. No, with a hose.
With a hose.
Jay, final question for you before we say goodbye. And I didn't get to many, but I apologize. We got caught up in calls. Question for Jay: will Kyle Busch win this year?
Wow, I'm not a very good prognosticator, but I'm just going to say it like this: I would not bet against Kyle Busch. When Kyle Busch is almost in the league of the really best naturally born race car drivers, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've heard Mark Martin talk about his natural driving ability. He's got the driving ability. It's a question of the equipment.
Right.
And frankly, a lot of times in cup racing now, it comes down to luck. It's a great question. We broke his streak last year. I've forgotten, it'd been like 20 years in a row.
19 years or something, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So I wouldn't bet. My answer is I wouldn't bet against him.
Jay, we never bet against you during Fri-Jay. We appreciate you, as always. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay dry, and we'll talk to you again soon, brother.
Love you, brother.
All right, take care. There's Jay St Clair joining us for a good session of Fri-Jay. It's 54 after the hour.
You're still in the deprogramming process. You've only been out a week. It's going to take some time, but now I got to come back from being a convict to being a citizen, and I can do it.
Monday morning from 9 to noon.
And streaming on the Supertalk 99.7 WTNF.
Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy for Tennessee Men's Clinic. Today is Valentine's Day, obviously, and it's a day known for quote-unquote lovers. Well, I don't want to put too fine a point on it, gentlemen, but if you've found issues or you've had problems in the bedroom, you know what the names for them are, and I don't need to go over all of that. But here's the deal. I'm telling you what the solution is, and that is Tennessee Men's Clinic. They can assist. They can help you in a discreet and professional manner. They're going to get you in. They're going to have an appointment. You're going to talk to one of their qualified urologists to go over all of your options. They're going to get a little blood work and figure out what's going on. Is it low T? If so, they have many different options available for you to make it right, to get you back to an energy level that you appreciate and to get you back into bedroom activity. That's what it's all about, your intimacy levels with your significant other. I encourage you to contact Tennessee Men's Clinic today. Go online and find out what they can do for you at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com or give them a call and schedule that appointment. 2 locations. One is in Franklin and the other, of course, the original location in Midtown since 2014. 615-208-9090, 208-9090.
5 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We are at a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather here in Middle Tennessee this weekend. We've got the timeline for you, what to look out for during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Now, I can tell you preparations have been underway for a couple of days ahead of the potential for flooding. Channel 4 says people living in low-lying areas are trying to stay optimistic.
We are aware of what's going on and trying to keep ourselves updated as to what's taking place, and if we need to take action, we'll of course do that. But it can be concerning.
Officials monitoring flood-prone areas. Swift water rescue teams are on standby. City leaders ask that you remove any debris you see covering drains to prevent ponding. There's a flood of measles cases in some parts of the country, according to health officials. Measles outbreak in West Texas continues to grow. Nearly 50 cases reported in the last few weeks, 13 of them in hospitals. Vaccine exemptions among children in Gaines County, Texas, the epicenter of the outbreak, have grown dramatically. Exemptions for many childhood disease vaccines nationally have hit record highs in the last few years, according to the CDC, which also says there were 4 times as many measles outbreaks last year as the year before. By the way, Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. today reiterating his stance on vaccines.
I'm not going to take away anybody's vaccine. If people are happy with their vaccines, they ought to be able to get them. What we're going to do is give people good science.
Latest on the D.C. plane crash, equipment malfunction, dropped messages looked at by the NTSB, impacting the Army Black Hawk helicopter crew's altimeter.
Pilot flying indicated they were at 300 feet. The instructor pilot indicated they were at 400 feet. Neither pilot made a comment discussing an altitude discrepancy. At this time, we don't know why there was a discrepancy between the two.
Right now in Nashville, News 2 says a 37-year-old man faces charges for allegedly stalking other men, following them into bathrooms, taking pictures of them, then texting them sexual messages. This all started back in 2023. One of the victims says he found a note on his parked car asking that he call his phone number because a credit card had been found. Then he started receiving text messages with photos of him in a bathroom where he works in the Athens Way building. The suspect was arrested yesterday and then bonded out of jail for $20,000. The long arm of the law putting sponges in the hands of defendants in some places. Here's Chuck Severson.
Ordering shoplifters to wash cars in a Walmart parking lot when spring arrives, Genesee County, Michigan Judge Jeffrey Clothier. He says he hopes the community service discourages people from stealing from Walmart and helps shoppers who could see higher prices or possibly lose stores if thefts continue. The car washes will be free. Clothier says he'll be there helping wash, and that he was shocked how many shoplifting cases there are. He had 48 one day.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Downtown East Loop eastbound. Still got a crash there at Shelby Avenue. In Napier, a crash 40 westbound at 24 downtown. And Metro Center, crash blocking the right shoulder. That's going to be 65 northbound after Rosa Parks Boulevard. Looks like there are 2 crashes there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Here we go. We're halfway home, and for many of you, it is officially the weekend. It is 5:07, and a good afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well so far on this Friday, Valentine's Day, February the 14th, 2025. What's going on? My name is Matt Murphy. Right there behind the glass is the one and only Chris Webber. Hello, Mr. Webber.
Hello.
And then behind Chris Webber, behind a second pane of glass, takes 2 panes to separate the two, there's Ken Weaver. He's in the newsroom. He gathers headlines always.
Good afternoon, boys. Yes.
What's going on, fellas? Everybody all right so far? Yeah?
Yeah, doing good, man.
Be better in a couple hours.
I tell you what, it's just about the weekend. I'm sad to report, Ken Weaver's been reporting it, and I guess I ought to get into the act that rain is falling over the course of the weekend. So if you got any weekend plans, I hope they are indoors, or I hope you like rain.
Yeah.
Because it's coming.
Well, if you like rain, you're going to be in heaven.
Yep, there you go. But none tonight, according to Weaver.
None tonight.
Okay.
Looks like you're going to be able to enjoy your Valentine's night festivities rain-free.
Good for y'all. Good for y'all.
I think most people's Valentine's night festivities are indoors anyway. You know what I mean. If you're lucky.
Oh, my.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. I mean, well, teach their own, really. I mean, you know, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah. Some folks do it outside, like that nincompoop story you had there in the Keys.
I got one today that
I was talking about eating a nice dinner, Ken.
That's true.
Oh, okay.
Does anybody, by the way, speaking of nice dinners outside,
yeah.
You know, I'm willing. I understand we're just doing commercials. We're having a good time. Everybody likes the funny commercial, whatever. We just got a fresh batch of them off the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
And I am a big fan of Matthew McConaughey. Big fan. Big fan.
All right.
All right. Jerry's eating rice. Yeah, anyway, Uber Eats commercial wears me out. Jerry's eating rice. But the one that I don't even know what they're advertising, but it's Matthew McConaughey eating at a restaurant outside while it's raining. And he's like, well, you know, and Woody Harrelson's across the street and invites him over. Y'all know the commercial I'm talking about?
Is that credit card or something?
Yeah, Does that bug anybody else? Like, I'm willing to suspend my disbelief, but no restaurant anywhere on planet Earth would make you eat in the rain. They would find you a different place to eat. I don't know why. It shapes my hide.
Well, he made a reservation for outdoors.
Yeah.
I just didn't bother. I don't know. I should not allow these little things to bother me. But you know what? It makes for a good radio show sometimes. We've got good radio for you this hour and next hour, at least I hope. MAHA is done, and it's a deal, and it's a real thing. That would be Make America Healthy Again, as Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has already begun that process. We will discuss that at some point. During the Fri-Jay hour of our proceedings today, we talked about this story. It's not a big deal, but it is funny. So they didn't even announce it. They didn't make a big deal about it. But there was a camera shot of the Oval Office in the White House. And Donald Trump was welcoming, I don't know who it was, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, somebody from the Middle East was coming into the White House. And they had all of the assembled reporters there. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio was there. And I think our Energy Secretary, maybe the Department of Interior Secretary was there. There were several assembled individuals on the old couches. And Trump was not behind the Resolute desk. That's where the press was. Anyway, there was a open door to the Oval Office going to a hallway where I don't know if this is where the individuals enter. I've had the opportunity to go to the West Wing. I looked into the Oval Office. They do not allow you to walk into the Oval Office unless the President of the United States is there. But we were able to peek, give a little looky-loo as they were walking us through the West Wing. We saw the Roosevelt room in there. We saw they would not allow us in the Situation Room, but we saw the Situation Room. I saw the lockers where Hunter Biden left his cocaine, or whoever it was. But I saw those lockers. Anyway, it was very, very cool. The West Wing is just cool to be in that environment and in that place. So years ago, I got a guided tour of the West Wing. A buddy of mine worked in the first Trump administration. And so I don't know that this is the hallway. I think it's more of a private area coming from the other side of the Oval Office. One way or the other, there's a shot of an open door, and in that hallway is a framed copy of Donald Trump's mugshot. And my favorite part of this story is nobody announced it. Nobody made a big deal about it. It's just that somebody thought that it was a great idea, and a great idea it was, to put up his mugshot. Just to remind everyone that sees it, or remind folks that are walking into the Oval Office that, look, you mess with the bull, sometimes you get the horns. And that's what the Democrats have gotten. They got the horns. And you cannot tell me, looking at, and we've got a copy of the mugshot in the studio.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's Trump's always looking over us, always looking down on us. But you cannot tell me, if you put the mugshot side by side with his new official portrait, you cannot tell me that he wasn't inspired.
They're similar, yeah.
They're very similar. A little less grumpy in the official portrait, but just as stern.
Yep.
Daddy's home, and he's pissed. That's what that says to me. But anyway, it's just a great story. I'll tell you another great story that I'm going to enjoy covering over the next several weeks. And, well, I don't know how long they're going to do this. We ought to put an over-under on how long the Democrats do this. So, the Democrats got new leadership, including that David Hogg fella. That young man who he was at the school during the Parkland shooting. He's intimated.
He was a student at the school.
He was a student at school. He was not in the building at the time of the shooting, but he was a student at the school, and he's parlayed that into an anti-gun tirade or just movement. And he is now, I want to say, the assistant vice chair of the Democrat Party. He won an election in which we went over some of the details of these voting processes where you got to vote non-binary, gender neutral in the first ballot. And then you can, if we have an election where there's non-binary, gender neutral, then you're allowed to vote male second ballot. But if you vote male first ballot, then second ballot has to be non-binary female or male adjacent. And it's just like all this nonsense. It's just gross nonsense. Well, the Democrats are now on the X machine, and I assume they're doing this on other platforms, offering a daily recap of what they did today. Have y'all seen this?
Where's that at, man?
I'm looking. It's at the Democrats on the X machine. That's where I found it. At the Democrats on the X machine. And here's what the Democrats did today. This is February the 13th. Every single Democrat voted against confirming RFK Jr. as Secretary of Health and Human Services. That's number one. Well, that's great. Senate Democrats successfully blocked Elon Musk's DOGE from accessing sensitive Department of Education data. He has since accessed that data, by the way. Governor Josh Shapiro is taking legal action to defend Pennsylvania's funding from the Trump administration. Ooh. So we filed a lawsuit. That's a state office holder, not a federal office holder. Number 4, Arizona Democrats passed legislation to provide funding for free school lunches. Wow.
Good stuff.
How did that one not get higher up on the list?
That should be in your headlines.
Come on, Weaver. What kind of stories are you doing over there? Arizona Democrats are passing free lunches.
I need to get some alerts for that school.
And then, and finally, number 5 on the list of things Democrats did yesterday. This is February 13th. Representative Pramila Jayapal reintroduced her We the People Amendment to reverse the Citizens United decision and stop corporations from controlling politics. They didn't pass it, and it's not going anywhere in a republic, but she reintroduced it. So
that's an accomplishment.
That's what the Democrats did on this day, February the 13th. Let me see if they've done another one. I want to see. Let's go to the Democrat. Let's see if they've done one for today. I mean, I guess the day is over. Oh, they did. Here's one. February 14th. Let's go ahead and read off some of these accomplishments. I'm seeing these for the first time. You're hearing them for the first time. What the Democrats did today, February 14th. Senator Chris Murphy and Representative Maxwell Frost reintroduced the Office of Gun Violence Prevention Act. Oh, that's nice. They filed a bill. House and Senate Democrats rallied outside the Department of Veterans Affairs to stand for veterans and VA workers. Veterans and VA workers who overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump for president of the United States. Also, it's my understanding that they had like 14 individuals at that rally, but that's just neither here nor there.
Yeah, no singing.
Yeah, no, sadly.
That's a shame.
I wonder which side are they on? Democrat attorneys, the Democratic Attorneys General, which is always fun to say, filed a federal lawsuit to challenge the decisions Elon Musk has made within DOGE. Oh, some more lawsuits.
Yeah, they did that.
That's nice. Virginia House Democrats, so now we're back to state houses because apparently the federal, I guess they think there's a limit of 3 things they can do at the federal level on a daily basis.
Or that's just all they did.
Mm-hmm. House Virginia Democrats passed constitutional amendments aimed to protect reproductive freedom, voting rights, and marriage equality. Okay? And Representative Sharice Davids, well, we know Sharice, right? Good friend of the show, listens often. She pushed the Department of Transportation to implement FAA safety reforms that Congress passed last year to improve air traffic control. What? So she encouraged the Department of Transportation to implement safety reforms that Congress passed last year. Well, okay. And that's what the Democrats did today, February 14th.
Busy.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it was a big day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but come on, Chris. Friday. Friday. I mean, it's kind of a holiday, Valentine's Day.
True.
People are thinking about going out to eat.
Cut them some slack, I guess.
Good. Maybe we should have a daily rundown of what the Democrats do on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to run down pot for potholes in a moment, and don't take this too literally, folks. I had a guy that gave me the business on social media saying that, why in the world are we fixing potholes? Why aren't we fixing the problems that cause the potholes? I think they're just calling it pot for potholes just to be cute. This is not going to be money specifically and solely for fixing potholes. It will be for generally infrastructure and transportation needs in the state of Tennessee. So don't take the phraseology too literally. So we'll get into that. But I'm very curious, either via super text or on the phones, if I can find one man that sincerely would say that they would be willing to do what I'm about to describe to you. One man, one guy in the entirety of this listening audience that would tell me that they would do this. Here we go. There has been a birth control breakthrough for men. For decades, men have had only 2 options regarding birth control that they control. That would be condoms or vasectomies. These are obviously methods by which we are fairly sure that no pregnancy will occur. I mean, obviously there are, other ways that guys go about things that probably aren't as effective. We won't get into all of that. Mm. That may change soon, according to researchers who say scientists are developing new male contraceptives, including a daily hormonal gel that suppresses sperm production, as well as an injectable hydrogel that blocks sperm transport. The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. Regulatory hurdles remain with no male birth control ever approved by the FDA, but researchers say options could hit the market within the next decade.
Wow.
Injectable?
Yeah, I'm out when you said injectable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I have many questions. So these are two different ways that scientists are working on something that no one has ever asked for. I don't know of a single man that has said, boy, if I could just have an injectable around those parts, everything would be better. A daily hormonal gel that suppresses sperm production and an injectable that blocks sperm transport. Well, where does the blocked sperm go? Right?
That's a good question.
I mean, I would not trust any of these people anywhere. I mean, these are the same people that told us that COVID-19 vaccinations were safe. Anyway, can I find one man that would be willing to? I mean, I'm not trying to cast aspersions. Did any guy ever ask for this? Would any guy I don't know of any male that would use this.
I'm out on the injectable.
You're going to do the daily gel, Ken?
Oh, I thought that's what you inject.
Well, no, that you can inject. There's a daily hormonal gel that you rub.
It's a topical?
I think it's a topical. I think. There's two different things. There's one, a gel that suppresses the production.
Oh, goodness.
Look, I don't have any of this information, but I'm just imagining where we're rubbing it, right?
Well, I would think.
I'm assuming that it comes from the source.
Yeah.
You know? That was unintended. So, yeah, I mean, if anybody wants more information, Science News is the source material for this little story regarding male hormonal gels, either injectable or topical, that would suppress sperm production in men. 22 after the hour on Super Talk. Boy, Eurofix has just a different business philosophy when it comes to how they do their thing, and they have more staff at their locations than anyone else in business or in the market today. More staff at their auto repair shop means they're ready for you. When your emergency pops out of nowhere, it's Matt Murphy for Eurofix. Have you ever noticed how hard it can be to get a right now appointment for vehicle repair? Almost impossible. Some dealers can be more than 2 weeks out. Just to get an appointment, but not at Eurofix. Eurofix has been offering quality repairs that beat the dealer without dealer pricing since 1999, plus a 3-year nationwide warranty and the staff to fix your car right now. If you're tired of waiting forever to get your car fixed, you need to call Eurofix. Owner Aaron Stokes always says, we will never be too busy for our customers. We're here to take their pain away right now. Eurofix repairs all European cars. Eurofix says yes to speedy repair when others can't or won't. Family owns for 26 years. It's Eurofix, 844-EUROFIX, 844-EUROFIX, or visit MyEurofix.com. That's MyEurofix.com.
Lot of preparation for potentially flooding rainfall this weekend. We'll tell you about it at 5:30 on Super Talking 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. Jokes were told during the break. None of which...
Non-repeatable.
None of which we can repeat.
No.
On the super text? I mean, on the line?
Well, no. Weber had most of them.
Brother
Ken.
Yeah, I know they were good.
He wanted, I can say this much. He wanted to know what we thought the color of the topical gel would be. Hold on. If you're watching on Super Talk TV, I'm going to give my idea. That's my guess.
I was thinking.
That's what I'm thinking too. Alan is in Pulaski. Alan, we're back with you. I hope that you got it through this time, brother. Are you okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I apologize.
No, man,
everything.
you're all good. I'm just glad we got you on today.
I am too. What I wanted to speak about was the vaccines back in the COVID days. Now, there were two types of vaccines. There were the Moderna and the Pfizer, which was the mRNA vaccine, and then there was the other one that sort of kind of drifted away, and no one was speaking about it for some doggone reason, which was the original type of way you did vaccines, and it was done by Johnson & Johnson, Jensen Laboratories, Jensen, out of Belgium, which is wholly owned by Johnson & Johnson. You know what? We've not heard any comparisons between the people that received that vaccine versus the mRNA vaccine. I've got friends who have one of my buddies I used to work with, he's got blood clots in his legs and stuff from this stuff. I don't know what's going on. I wish and I hope he investigates something like that.
Well, I mean, listen, Alan, I do not have any I don't have any idea what the priorities will be. Thank you for the call. What the priorities will be for the Health and Human Services Department under Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. But I knew this. Everything I've seen, everything I've heard, everything I've read, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is obviously not only not beholden to the pharmaceutical industry, not only not beholden to the ensconced, embedded scientific governmental agencies, he's actually, frankly, adversarial to them. And I think it takes an adversarial agent to get to the truth. This does not mean that we are anti-science or anti-health. Obviously not. What we're trying to do, what RFK, I believe, is trying to do, is get to the bottom of what we believe to be some of the politicalization of these departments, like the National Institutes of Health and the Centers for Disease Control, to find out whether or not they were unduly influenced by outside agencies that were there to make a buck, whether or not they were making recommendations and out lying to the American people with regard to pharmaceuticals, with regard to our health, with regard to what we're putting in our bodies, with regard to what our parents are telling to do to their children. All of these things are on the table with this man. This man is non-corrupted. And one of the reasons that Donald Trump is scaring the hell out of embedded bureaucratic liberals all across this country, not just in Washington, D.C., is that he learned, when he came in the first time around, he was putting a lot of people in place that understood the system that he wanted to dismantle. What Donald Trump did not seem to understand, maybe he did and just didn't know how to deal with it at the time, and maybe he's learned it over time along with the rest of us, is that you cannot ask an insider to dismantle the system that they were born in, that they grew up in, that they've learned to be a part of, that they've taken part in. You've got to have outside influence to dismantle those agencies, keep the things that are good, and eliminate the things that are bad. RFK is that man with Health and Human Services. Make America healthy again, indeed. More calls coming up. Nincompoops in the news coming up. The real news right now.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we're at a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather this weekend, mainly tomorrow night. Looks like we could, if any of these storms do go severe, there will be the possibility of everything that comes with that, including tornadoes. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Meanwhile, Channel 4's Jordan James says there's been a lot of flood preparation.
Over the last few days, preparations have been underway for this severe weather, which could cause body of waters to rise, prompting multiple agencies to take action. I can tell you that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers tell us that they have emptied flood storage zones to collect runoff and prevent downstream flooding. Meanwhile, Nashville Office of Emergency Management says that crews will be monitoring flood-prone areas, and a swiftwater rescue teams are on standby. In addition to those entities, Metro Water Services has dispatched crews across the city who have been unclogging drains and removing debris. For those living in low-lying areas, they're trying their best to remain optimistic.
Now, city leaders ask if you find a drain covered by debris that you remove it to prevent ponding. And there's new information in last month's D.C. mid-air collision.
The pilots of the Black Hawk helicopter may have been getting bad altitude data on their instruments and may have thought that they were lower than they actually were. NTSB investigators say between what the pilots were recorded saying to each other and data they now have, the onboard altitude readings may have been wrong. NTSB Chair Jennifer Homendy.
It's possible, but we have a lot of work to do till we get to that.
She says there is no indication the Black Hawk pilots ever saw that they were about to run into the American Airlines regional jet.
That's Alex Stone reporting. High-level meetings between the U.S. and Ukraine. Vice President Vance saying he and President Zelensky have a number of things to follow up on after their meeting today. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Metro Center got a crash blocking the right shoulder 65 northbound after Rosa Parks Boulevard. Maybe he had two crashes at that location. Right now in Madison, police reporting a crash 65 northbound after Old Hickory Boulevard, and South Nashville, I-440 westbound at I-24. Police reporting a crash. Also in Murfreesboro, police reporting a crash 24 eastbound just past Medical Center Parkway. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy here for the one and only Glock Store. And, you know, thankfully for you, because I've got a Valentine's Day special, and you would think, well, Murphy, it's 5:34 on Valentine's Day. How in the world are you talking about a Valentine's Day special at Glock Store? It's too late. No, it's not too late. It's special runs all month. That's right. February being the month. For couples, they have an incredible special going on at the Glock Store. You can do something fun with your significant other. The Glock Store has their incredible Shoot 270 indoor shooting rooms. You know the ones I've been telling you about. Well, now you can get two for the price of one, mentioning my name. If you and your partner haven't been to Shoot at shoot270.com yet, or Shoot 270 those rooms, you can go to shoot270.com to find out more about it. You got to see it for yourself. These are not lane ranges where you're stuck between two people, or you're down the way and they're down the way. Nope. There's nothing fun about that. Tell them this is a private shooting room with a personal shooting instructor. Tell that significant other this. Professional will tailor your session and your current level of shooting expertise. Whatever your level at is now, you'll get better. Thank you to shoot270.com. You can also peruse the incredible retail showroom space that is the Glock Store. They are just off of Briley Parkway, just off of Elm Hill Pike off Briley Parkway on Airlane Drive, minutes away from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere. The one and only Glock Store, glockstore.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll try to class the joint up with nincompoops in the news coming up in just a moment. I know if my story is any indication, class level will go through the roof.
Oh, I can't wait.
Mine is a Valentine's Day special.
Ooh.
For nincompoops in the news.
All right, a special.
Absolutely love nincompoops in the news. We'll get into it in just a second on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 5731 says, "Hi, I'm a medical professional." Uh-oh. Y'all, we're in trouble. The medical pros have shown up on the male birth control thing. Hi, I'm a medical professional. These male birth control methods may lead to a big problem. Oh, wait. I'm not reading that. I'm not reading that. I'm not reading that. And the end is there's a long laundry list of what they're saying the problems are. Mm-hmm. But then they say, well, it's not too long, but it's stuff that I'm not reading on the radio. And then the end is, and may cause blindness. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank Matt Murphy for seeing the error of his ways yesterday in the case of William A. He said we need to fix the public schools. Too late, Matt. We spent the money on, quote, your vouchers. My vouchers. I don't know that they were my vouchers. No, you work these things in concert and combination, friends. No one suggested. The voucher program at best will hit 1.7% of the general population in public education next year. It is not going to adequately do anything to fix the public school system. As a matter of fact, it's not even designed to do that. Truth be told, the voucher my support of the voucher program was only based on the ability to give parents maximum opportunity to make the decisions for their kids and what is best for them and their family. And I don't want money necessarily to be an impediment, especially considering they're already paying for the public education system that is in many ways failing them. That was my position on it. It has nothing to do with the success or failure of the public education system. And the voucher program is not going to help public education. I mean, by design, it's not going to help public education. And it's only going to impact at most 1.7% of the total population. And the first 10,000 of those are needs-based, and the second 10,000, you could already be in the private sector. So just want to clarify that. Thank you for listening on multiple days, 24/7, and thank you for writing in. Many of you are writing in right now, and I've got a couple of you on the phone, but I've got to do this. We promise to try to do it almost every day of the week and twice on Sundays. It's called Nincompoops in the News. I'm an old radio guy, and I don't like I'm sloppy on that post. You know, did you ever do music radio?
No, I never did.
Never did? Yeah. Ken Weaver, you ever do music radio?
I did indeed.
Yeah?
Yep.
You hit the post?
I'd hit the post. Boy. We had top of the hour news every hour.
Baby.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I love that. Did y'all do we did mutual news at the top of the hour.
No, we did Oklahoma News Network then ABC News.
Yeah, we had back in the day in 1988, we had mutual news. And, you had to hit the top of the hour there, too. You could either talk up to it with the weather.
Right.
Which was tricky for the 15-year-old Matt Murphy at WTWS. Tricky. Or you could just vamp up to that thing with a good old instrumental.
Yeah.
That was always fun.
I'd just grab an obituary.
I did obituaries, man.
I'm
telling you. We did sponsored obits.
Oh, yes.
And if they were unsponsored, there were some hours that were unsponsored. And that you just read the headline on the obit.
Right.
But the sponsored obituaries, you had to read all the survivors. And it got tricky. It got tricky. And I have been called multiple times to the carpet by family members for mispronouncing survivors' names.
Oh, yes.
Strangers.
Right. Yeah. No, they'd call and they'd get mad because I mispronounced the grandniece of Meemaw who died 2 days ago. I'm like,
yes.
Don't y'all have more important things to... Okay.
Not that day they didn't. They were going to hear their names on the radio.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just true. By show of hands, who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, Chris Webber is first.
All right, Chris. In the early hours of Sunday, February 2nd, first responders were called to a home in Kearns, Utah, where they found an unresponsive man with a gunshot wound to the chest lying on the floor. He was taken to a nearby hospital, but doctors there could not save his life. And during questioning, 23-year-old Ashton Mann told police that he and his friend were hanging out in the kitchen smoking marijuana on the night of the tragic incident. They were mostly talking about guns, and at one point they moved into the garage to continue their conversation. They were handling 2 firearms. And Ashton's friend allegedly started talking about how he could dodge a bullet. Well, after seemingly unloading both guns, the 2 friends decided to test the victim's bullet dodging abilities. Ashton said he would fire the empty gun, empty in air quotes, empty gun at his friend, and he would try to jump out of the way as quick as possible. Unfortunately, their game lasted about 6 rounds, and on that 6th time, he fired a bullet that hit his friend in the chest.
Goodness.
Jeez.
Yeah, he told police that he tried to give his friend first aid until the ambulance arrived, but he remained unresponsive. And upon searching the home, investigators found 2 handguns, ammunition, and magazines, as well as paraphernalia consistent with marijuana use. He has since been charged with 2nd-degree felony manslaughter and a 3rd-degree felony charge related to firearms for the bizarre incident involving guns and marijuana. No, you cannot dodge a bullet, unfortunately.
No, and I would. No amount of good weed is going to convince me that I can. I don't.
Yeah, I don't think it would me either.
I don't think that's. I don't think that's the fault of the weed.
No.
I think there's some natural stupidity going on.
I believe there was too, yeah.
It reminds me of that. Y'all remember the story where the YouTube, or I don't know if it was YouTube or Instagram, whatever, TikTok influencers that they claimed that like a big phone book would stop a bullet, and they were going to test their theory.
Oh, wow. I don't remember that.
This was several years ago. The female got charged with, I think, murder or some sort of manslaughter charge.
Yeah.
Because she was filming it, and the guy was holding the phone book in front of his chest, and they shot at him, and, of course, what you might expect happened. Yeah. I think I've got the details of that right. That's you can't fix stupid, y'all.
I covered a story in Tulsa back in my overnight radio reporting days in the 90s. Had a Signal 30 come over the ambulance radio. Went out there, me and the TV stations are waiting outside this home for several hours for the sheriff's deputies to finally come out and tell us what happened. A couple of cousins inside decided to play a game of chicken with a pistol while they were drinking a fifth of wild turkey.
Good gracious.
The game was that they would pour a shot. There was only one bullet loaded in the chamber. So they were pouring shots. The first one to take his shot and grab the gun then would point it at the other and pull the trigger.
So awful.
Well, one of them won.
Yeah.
How does that sound like a good time to anybody?
I don't.
And we could only figure that we were standing out there for like 4 hours. Usually a homicide, you stand out there for maybe an hour. And then police come and they give you a statement. But, yeah.
Jeez, Manelli.
That was something. That's West Tulsa. West Tulsa was a different breed. An interesting place.
Different breed of folk. All right, I'll go next.
Okay.
This comes to us from, what is the deal? Fort Pierce. Is this Florida? I'll figure it out. When her husband threatened to call the police during an argument, a woman pulled out, and I'm going to have to sanitize this story just a little bit.
All right.
When her husband threatened to call police during an argument, a woman pulled out an item that is typically reserved for personal intimacy and began striking him viciously about the head and shoulders with it.
Oh, my.
Oh, it is in Florida. I thought so.
Of course it is.
Fort Pierce, Florida. Florida police arrested the alleged toy attacker for domestic battery. Cops were dispatched. Here's the details, because I know you want to know. Cops were dispatched Sunday to a Fort Pierce residence in reference to a disturbance in progress involving a 52-year-old man and Julia Negron, 50, The victim told police that Negron was staying with him while she gathered clothing before relocating from Puerto Rico to Connecticut to start her life over. Negron and the victim were married in Connecticut in 2003. While Negron was, quote, well-behaved a day earlier, the victim told police that she began, quote, drinking alcoholic beverages, resulting in her acting disorderly. And started arguments about who he follows on Instagram.
Oh.
At one point, Negron allegedly, quote, began to get in the victim's face, which he believes was to antagonize him. When the man warned that he would dial 911, Negron then pulled out, let's just call it, an item normally reserved for personal intimacy, and began striking him viciously about the head and shoulders.
Wow.
The item is not further, or where it came from, is not further described in the police report, which does not indicate whether or not police confiscated the alleged weapon as evidence. When cops arrived at the man's home, he warned that Negron was inside, naked, and that she would probably, this is his words, she'll probably flash you. The man also explained a history of Negron's abusive behavior prior to her leaving for Puerto Rico to the point where he needed to leave his own home. Negron was reportedly agitated, disorderly, and smelled of alcohol when police sought to question her, unable to get a clear story from her, and so they arrested her. Once again, no word on whether or not they took anything as evidence.
Wow.
You know, all I got to say is this guy's lucky that that's the item she chose to use. I mean, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I'm sure he's embarrassed. You know, he didn't feel real good about himself.
In the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Hurt his pride a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather, let's put it this way, I would rather get hit with a rubber hose than a lead pipe. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Ken Weaver, what do you got?
All right, mine is going to be this story I've been reporting all day. News 2 says a 37-year-old man is facing charges for allegedly stalking other men, following them into bathrooms, taking pictures of them, and then texting them sexual messages. This all started back in 2023. One of the victims says he found a note on his parked car. It asked that he call this phone number because a credit card had been found. Well, that's apparently how he started receiving text messages with photos of him in the bathroom where he works in the Athens Way building.
Oh, dear.
In Nashville. So there are 4 victims that police are using in the charges against this man. The man's name is not given in the story. And I do feel sorry for the victims because, I mean, that's terrible. They were harassed. I mean, this guy would text them sexual messages saying he knew where they lived, that sort of thing. And then they let him out of jail. He posted a $20,000 bond, and he's out.
What?
But I don't want – I hate to call them nincompoops, but I'm telling you, man, if you go outside in Nashville and there's a note on your car – that says, hey, call me. I think I found a credit card. Don't.
No. First of all, check your wallet to see if you're missing a credit card.
To see if you're missing a credit card.
Common
because
sense.
Once you call somebody, they've got your number.
Yeah. And then they can send you whatever. And oh, no, there's some nincompoops in this story.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, there you go. It's 51 after the hour. That's how you play nincompoops in the news. Give us a text as to who you believe the big winner is. Ken Weaver, Chris Webber, or Matt Murphy. Nincompoops in the news every Monday through Friday, or when I remember to do it, at 5:35 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Back with your calls and more on Pod for Potholes after this. Look, guys, I hope you took me up on the incredible Genesis Diamonds offer, because Genesis Diamonds is the place that celebrates love and lovers. It's what their specialty is. Genesis is a one-stop shopping experience. When you buy any piece of incredible jewelry at Genesis Diamonds, you know you're getting the best of the spirit. They don't mess around. At Genesis Diamonds, guys, they have a spectacular collection of rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets, and so much more. So if you missed on Valentine's Day this year, what about getting her something kind of a makeup for an anniversary or a birthday that perhaps is coming up, or a just because, which is the best kind of gift to get her? Their non-commissioned experts will help you guys find that perfect thing to celebrate your love for your loved one. In other words, when you walk in, you don't have to know anything about the diamond buying experience. They'll walk you through it. They will feed you baby birds. They're not going to press you to buying something that you don't want. They're going to find the thing that is right for you and your loved ones. 2 locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs. Just tell them that Matt Murphy sent you to the store for lovers. It's Genesis Diamonds. Once again, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Lots of people in Middle Tennessee bracing for potentially flooding rainfall and severe storms this weekend. We'll tell you about that coming up at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. 57, almost 58 after the hour. We've got another hour to go after that as we slide right into the weekend. Many of you already there. Hope you're safe and sound inside of your homes or fast getting there. Boy, we like to thank our weekend warriors, too, the first responders, EMTs, police officers, firefighters, all of the people that work over the weekend to make our weekends a little more pleasurable, all the way down to, I don't diminish the convenience store, everybody that makes weekends better. We thank all of you. Let's get to Aubrey in Murfreesboro. Hey, Aubrey.
Hey, Matt, just a quick question and a comment. Since DOGE has been around that we are aware of just in 3 weeks' time, and they've uncovered millions and billions of waste, how have our elected officials not known this before now? And if they didn't know it, why didn't they know it? Because they fuss about signing these bills that they know nothing about what's in them, but yet nobody does any investigation after the fact. So I am very angry that we've wasted this much money, and it took an outsider and his crew to be able to uncover it. And I know that's a lot of information, but if you don't have time to answer it now, I wish you would revisit it maybe in the next hour or so.
Well, it's a great question. It's a great source of conversation too, and there's a lot of blame to go around, Miss Aubrey. I'm gonna let you continue to listen on the radio. I will say this real quickly, and hopefully I'll remember to circle back to it in the 6 o'clock hour. Frankly, the easy answer is Congress was not doing its job. The Office of Management or Budget Management not doing their job. The accounting office may be doing a little bit of their job, but the Congress never did anything about the General Accounting Office and what their reports were. They didn't know what they were giving the money to, and oftentimes they were led down a trail where they thought they were giving the money to something, and that something was nothing. So there's a lot of malfeasance, a lot of lying, a lot of shenanigans, a lot of stonewalling, and just a lot of laziness coming out of Washington, D.C. That is the short answer. We've got another hour to go. It is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We're a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather this weekend. And if it does turn severe, we're talking about all the threats are on the table, including isolated tornadoes. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Meanwhile, preparations have been underway for the past couple of days for the possible flooding here in Middle Tennessee. Channel 4 says people living in low-lying areas of Nashville trying to stay optimistic.
We are aware of what's going on and trying to keep ourselves updated as to what's taking place, and if we need to take action, we'll of course do that. But it can be concerning.
Officials are monitoring flood-prone areas. Swift water rescue teams are on standby. City leaders ask that you remove any debris you might see covering drains to prevent ponding. A flood of legal filings right now. A judge has just temporarily blocked mass terminations at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, at least a temporary blow to President Trump's efforts to dismantle that agency. And the Department of Justice has filed a motion to dismiss the fraud charges against New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Now that the paperwork is filed, a federal judge will still have to decide whether that case can be dismissed. There's a flood of measles cases in some parts of the country, according to health officials.
The measles outbreak in West Texas continues to grow. Nearly 50 cases reported in the last few weeks, with 13 in hospitals, says the state health department. Vaccine exemptions among children in Gaines County, Texas, the epicenter of the outbreak, have grown dramatically. Exemptions for many childhood disease vaccines nationally have hit record highs in the past few years, says the CDC, which also says there were 4 times as many measles outbreaks last year as the year before.
By the way, Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr. today reiterated his stance on vaccines.
I'm not going to take away anybody's vaccine. If people are happy with their vaccines, they ought to be able to get them. What we're going to do is give people good science.
Latest on the D.C. plane crash, equipment malfunction, dropped messages looked at by the NTSB, impacting that Army Black Hawk helicopter crew's altimeter.
Pilot flying indicated they were at 300 feet. The instructor pilot indicated they were at 400 feet. Neither pilot made a comment discussing an altitude discrepancy. At this time, we don't know why there was a discrepancy between the two.
And Pope Francis admitted to the hospital today for, quote, necessary tests and treatment for his ongoing bronchitis, according to a Vatican statement. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy for Men of Valor. Men of Valor is simply a wonderful organization with a great group of people designed to do one thing. That is to go into our prison systems and help make better men within those systems, because they understand that a lot of factors are involved in creating a criminal. A lot of factors, whether it's childhood or how somebody grows up, maybe abuse, or simply a disregard for the law. One way or the other, they go into that prison system, criminals, and we want them to come out better men, ready to be good, productive members of society. How does that happen? Well, I believe it happens through Men of Valor, through the discipling that they receive within the prison systems, and put simply through the power of God Almighty. Will you help? They create not only better citizens, but they also save us money because they reduce recidivism by a considerable amount. Men of Valor is a wonderful organization, worth your time, worth your volunteerism, and worth your donation. MOVministry.com. That's MOVministry.com. Please look them up today and give as you can to Men of Valor.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Oh, my turn. I-40 westbound off-ramp to White Bridge Pike, Briley Parkway West. We've got a crash partially blocking that off-ramp. Then in Madison, Gallatin Pike north of Old Hickory Boulevard. 65 northbound, right shoulder blocked after Rosa Parks Boulevard. There's two crashes there. Over by the airport, the right lane is blocked. That's 40 eastbound after Donaldson Pike. Down in Franklin, we've got 65 northbound at Paytonsville Road, Goose Creek Bypass. A crash there reported by the Highway Patrol. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 6:07, final hour of the day, final hour of the week. Thank you for being out there on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's it's an overcast day. It's one of those wintry days, but boy, it's the kind of the relative calm before the storm as we expect Nasty weather to roll in here tomorrow and Sunday. Be on the alert for that over the weekend. If you're out and about tonight, hope your travels are going well. As you just heard from Ken Weaver, there are trouble spots, as you might expect, on the roadways this evening. My name is Matt Murphy. Chris Webber behind the glass. Behind him is Ken Weaver. And we appreciate you being here as much as you possibly can, whether you give us 5 minutes of the full 4 hours. We thank you for being a part of Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's Valentine's Day. It is episode 750 today. It is Locks for Trump Day 349. I got tired of it on my neck, so I put it up in a ponytail, which I can do now, believe it or not. It's just barely gotten long enough. Could you ever put yours in a ponytail?
Yeah, I could. Yeah. I didn't like to, but I did.
I'm going to enjoy it when I am cutting it. I think I'm ready for that.
You ready?
This is as long as my hair has been since college, and that was a long, long time ago. So I'm ready for it to go. I think that word is on the street that we're going to do something on March 4th, the day that we're out and about. I don't want to say that we're at Nashville Palace before we're officially at Nashville Palace, so I'm not saying we're at Nashville Palace.
Well, that's good. Good that you're not saying that.
I wouldn't say that we're somewhere that has not been officially confirmed, but we may or may not eventually be in the big room at the Nashville Palace for some function or another. Maybe it's on March 4th, maybe not. Maybe it's for the presidential, what is known as the State of the Union. It's a joint session of Congress, not technically called the State of the Union. I just don't want to get in trouble. I want to call it the State of the Union. But then as soon as I do, some guy on the super text line, wow, technically, in inauguration years, it's not a State of the Union address. Okay. All right, buddy. By the way, perhaps the closest nincompoops in the news vote of all time has come down. I mean, I could just go through them.
It's a nail biter?
Matt wins. Chris wins. Weber wins. Well, it was a kind of a nail biter. Well, no, then there's Ken's nincompoops. At least he knows about this guy. How many guys in Athens? Way to go. I think you got it today, Matt. Vote for Murphy. That lady wasn't toying around. There's a whole new definition of home wrecker. Ken wins. Weber wins. Murphy wins. But I did the tallying. Oh, Scott said Ken is disqualified for this round. He's trying to get you on a technicality. Scott is, Ken.
Oh, okay.
Says you can't use something you've been reporting on the last half hour for the last. No, well, I don't know. I mean, sometimes, sometimes they're right under our nose.
That's right.
Sometimes you got to report on the nincompoops, and then you got to call them out during nincompoops in the news.
Yeah,
is there a better definition of a nincompoop in the news? I mean, they've been in the news all day.
That's very true.
I mean, so what else do you want? But after doing a tally, and I recounted this vote 4 different times because I keep coming up one short, it's Chris Webber's day.
Yes.
Way to go, brother Chris Webber.
There you go.
Valentine's gift.
Lone little clap for you, buddy. I just want to flush out, Aubrey, I believe it was, called us a moment ago and was talking about her frustration with the fact that no one has done anything about this. You have the Office of Budget Management. You have the General Accounting Office. You have all of these organizations that are supposedly independent of the structure of government that are there to offer accounting services and to make sure that there's wise expenditure of our money. Sadly, these organizations either are underreporting or not given access to this information. And the Congress of the United States of America, they're not doing their jobs. They're being lazy. Here's the deal, Aubrey, and everyone else. So the Congress creates these institutions like the Office of Budget and Management, or Management Budget, I forget which way it is, or they create the General Accounting Office. And then anytime anybody asks them, hey, are you making sure that our money's being spent wisely? They go, oh, yeah, well, we've got this Office of Management. It's just another layer of bureaucracy that apparently was not doing its job or was not able to do its job. There's a lot of blame to go around in all of this. Primarily, I blame the lawmakers themselves. We charge them with the duties to spend our money and spend our money wisely and only when necessary, and they have completely abdicated their duties to the bureaucracies. That's point number one. But point number two, those that really were worried about it, those that are fiscal conservatives, we have a few of them in the state of Tennessee. We have, Thomas Massey's another good one. He's up in Kentucky. Rand Paul's another good one. He's up in Kentucky. I mean, we have good fiscal conservatives in Washington, D.C., but those people are just dressed down or dismissed. A good example we played earlier in the week, or maybe it was late last week, when Rand Paul was asking questions about USAID. specifically. I mean, this was like a year and a half ago. He's like, what is this money being spent on? And he got a report back and was talking to Samantha Powers, the head of USAID. And the report, he said, I want to know how you're spending this specific money in this specific location. And USAID, an agency of the government of the United States of America, an agency that is funded by Congress, sent a letter back to a senator, a United States senator, and said, paraphrasing now, no. He asked, I want you to account for this money, this taxpayer money that you're spending. And he was told no. They was like, no, we don't have to answer to you. And that went on over and over and over and over again, sadly. But it did. I know this isn't making anyone any happier about all of this, but thankfully we can thank our lucky stars that Donald Trump was elected president, and we can thank our lucky stars that he hooked up with Elon Musk. Elon Musk made it a priority in his businesses to make sure that they were running as efficiently as humanly possible, which is one of the reasons that he's the richest man on planet Earth. He has now dedicated that mission to government, and it is the only way we're going to save our government, folks. I understand that we don't want to believe it, but eventually we are going to run out of spending other people's money. We're going to not be able to borrow money anymore. We are almost $37 trillion in debt, and it is high time that we stopped adding to it. I don't believe for a moment that we'll ever get to a point where we're paying our debt back. But at very least, we have to get to a point where we're not adding to it. So it's a great call, Aubrey. I hope that answered your question. Let's get back to Sharon in Fayetteville. She's on the line, 615-737-9986. Hello, Sharon.
Hi. Thank you, my Valentine. I'm so glad you took my call.
Oh, thank you, Sharon.
I have a gnawing issue that has been with me for about 50 years. And that is the pill that came out for women to take daily so they didn't get pregnant. Now, I didn't for myself take that pill or worry about it because I was a lady with a lot of self-respect for myself. But I wondered, why was that pill designed and given to women? Not men, but to women, to change their bodily function so they wouldn't get pregnant. Now, I'll jump ahead. We have Kennedy and others talking about vaccines. No one has, of recent or through the years, really looked into that pill that all of these millions of women took so they wouldn't get pregnant. Is it the vaccines that are making our babies and children have mental and physical illnesses? Or is it the pill? Nobody talks about that. And there could very well be a connection that the pill is to blame and not vaccines.
Well, I mean, I think both could be true too, Sharon, that you could see side effects and long-term issues with the birth control pill as well as long-term side effects or issues with the vaccines. And I don't know, the problem is that we have way too much influence by the companies that are making millions and millions and millions and billions of dollars on these products as to how they are administered and how they get approved through the FDA. That's one of the problems that I hope that Robert F. Kennedy will address.
Yes, and may I add, we will never know if that pill has created a huge problem within our little babies being born, because the lawsuits would be immense. And we'll never know if that pill has caused damage. We'll never know.
Well, I try never to say never. I mean, never is a strong word, but I tend to agree with you, Ms. Sharon, and thank you for the call, that it's going to be difficult to crack that nut and get to the bottom of that, considering how much time has lapsed since the beginning of the birth control pill. I don't know enough about it to be able to intelligently converse on it, except to say that I think we have for far too long allowed companies to act as experts when those companies are intimately involved in the process, the design, and the approval of said drugs. The FDA should be and supposed to be independent of these agencies and organizations. I'm not against companies that are trying to make pharmaceutical medicines that can actually help people, but the pharmaceutical companies are not interested in getting people better. They're interested in selling their product. That's just a different dynamic, and they are not as concerned. They're concerned with FDA approval, and I would expect that, if I gave them maximum grace, they are concerned with not killing people. But their primary concern is to issue a product that corrects an issue that does so effectively enough that people will buy the product so that they can earn money on it. They are, after all, a for-profit business. Those companies, those individuals that run those companies, those research teams should not be in the business of approving or anywhere close to the approval process of these drugs if we are going to continue along with the FDA, which, frankly, that's another subject for another day, whether or not that organization should be wholly dismantled, too. Sherry is next in Nashville. Thank you for the call, Sherry. How are you?
I'm pretty good, considering it's Friday.
It's a good day. Good day.
Yeah, it took it all week to get here, too.
That's it seems like it does that every week, too. Weird.
I know.
What's on your mind, Miss Sherry?
Well, talking about waste and where you're finding all this waste coming from, I happened to look up what I would be getting when I retire at 70, which is just a couple of years from now. And it's less than $3,000 a month. I had looked it up like a year ago, and it was over $4,000. I'm making more money, but I'm getting less back in Social Security. Where's my Social Security going? Where is everybody's Social Security going? We're talking about waste. Why not look at where's all that money that we put in over all of our lifetime gone to?
Somebody else? I mean, Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. The only reason that it exists is because it's administered by government.
That's true.
You pay in, your money goes into the pool and pays out to other people. The only way that it continues to exist is if we have enough people being born to continue to put into the system that will outpace the number of people that are taking from the system. And that's the definition of a Ponzi scheme.
I never thought about it that way. I guess I'm just kind of ignorant on it because I worked very hard and was forced to pay into it, or thought I was forced to pay into it. And now I find out I won't have enough to live on if I just had that. It's very disheartening. Very, very.
Well, I mean, and a lot of, don't feel bad about this, Miss Sherry. I mean, a lot of people, and thank you for the call, have been disillusioned by, we grew up with the belief, when I was a kid, there was a general belief, and, I grew up and you learn differently that, you give into the Social Security system and your money goes into your file folder, your money goes into your account, and your account sits there and grows and grows and grows and grows and grows, and nobody messes with it. And when you retire, you get back your money paid into allotments to you. Nope. None of that's true. Social Security not only doesn't have any money, they borrow against the good faith and credit of the federal government. I mean, we borrow money every year, largely due to the weight of the Social Security system. And it is getting heavier and heavier by the day, certainly by the year. Am I saying fiscal wrong?
Fiscal?
I think it's physical has 3 syllables.
Right.
And so I'm not saying physical, but I say physical.
You're doing like a Z instead of an S.
So I should fiscal.
Fiscal.
So if I went, I think that's the issue.
Yeah.
It's like some people say Smyrna when it's just Smyrna.
Uh-huh. Some people say Lebanon.
Lebanon.
And it's Lebanon. So that's a good tip. Weber and Weaver, thank y'all. I don't want to, because I'm getting, and typically this happens when I talk about being fit, but I focus on the 2 syllables. Yeah. I know that physical is something that, you get when people start correcting your pronunciation of words. You get physical.
Yeah.
So fiscal. Is that better? Fiscal. Fiscal. Fizz, not fizz. Fizz.
Yeah.
Fizz.
There you
Okay.
go.
Got it. Thank you to 8957 for that grammatical pronunciation correction. It is 22 after the hour on Super Talk. When it comes to large home repairs, a lot of times homeowners want to pretend that things aren't going wrong because maybe you sleep better at night, or you just feel like you can ignore it and it will go away. Sadly, these things will not go away, especially if we're dealing with foundation issues, waterproofing issues, or concrete leveling issues. You know, I talk about the first two quite a bit. I want to talk about the final one. That concrete leveling, it can be a game changer in terms of cost for correcting issues with your driveway or your walkways or your stair steps. I mean, friends, if you've got a problem, that could be a liability. Somebody could trip, fall, then no, you're getting sued. Let's not get sued. Let's correct the problem cheaply. Let's correct the problem a lot more inexpensively than digging up the concrete. That used to be the option. Now you have that incredible poly lift system that lifts up the concrete back to its original level, and you can literally drive on it within an hour of it going in. That's the dramatic nature of the Polylift system. Find out more by going to USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com. If you need peace of mind, they are the peace of mind people at United Structural Systems. Keeping homes stable and dry since 1994. They just simply say homeowners trust USS, and it is a fact. Call today at 615-488-7855, 488-7855, or USSTN.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Equipment issues looked at by NTSB and D.C. plane crash investigation. U.S. Army's made a decision on transgender enlistments and lots of legal wrangling over President Trump's efforts. And the day's closing money news at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy and you, Ken Weaver back there in the newsroom. Chris Weber behind the glass. Thank you for being with us on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So here's the deal. Afton Ben, who is a Democrat politician in Nashville, wants to pass the Pot for Potholes Act and wants to establish a, quote, regulatory structure for the cultivation, processing, and retail sale of marijuana and marijuana products in this state. The program would be administered by the Tennessee Department of Agriculture. The Senate version of the bill was filed by my great friend Heidi Campbell. She's a Democrat in the Tennessee Senate. It was filed on February the 5th. Marijuana currently illegal in Tennessee, despite numerous dispensaries scattered around the state that sell altered forms of the drugs. There are two bills related to legalizing marijuana under consideration in the General Assembly. One, provided by Jeff Yarbrough. Yarbrough. Got to get it right. Senator Jeff Yarbrough of Nashville introduced SB 0809, Tennessee Cannabis Act, which would allow an adult, someone 21 or older, to personally use, possess, or transport marijuana under 60 grams. I don't know how much that is. Simultaneously, Representative Iris Rutter, Republican from Winchester, has filed House Bill 0872, the Tennessee Medical Cannabis Act. The proposal would authorize access to medical cannabis on a regulated basis for patients with qualifying medical conditions. I would suggest that I think that act has a lot better chance of passing than a recreational piece. I asked an unnamed Republican leader in the Tennessee General Assembly which he thought would come first. Oh, I just gave some up. Which he or she would come first. Would it be marijuana use legalized in the state of Tennessee or gambling? Like physical gambling establishments, casinos, which he believed would come first. And while he said that he did not believe necessarily that either would be around anytime soon, considering the makeup of the General Assembly, and they're just not predisposed to allow either of these things because, frankly, when there are moral concerns or when there are conservative objection to some of these things, oftentimes it takes a monetary concern to outweigh the moral concerns, and there is no monetary concern right now in the state of Tennessee, I would say. So without that pressing monetary need that doesn't exist right now, I don't expect that you're going to see a lot of movement amongst more conservative members of the Tennessee General Assembly. Now, if you had a pressing monetary need, maybe you'd see it. Don't know. But I pressed on the matter. I said, which do you think would come first? And he eventually acquiesced and said he thought gambling would come before marijuana, which surprised me. Already, some of you on the Super Text line are saying the same thing, that you thought gambling would come before medical marijuana. Well, I didn't say medical marijuana, actually. I framed it in the terms of recreational use of marijuana. I'll give more on this in a moment and tell you my take on the Pot for Potholes bill right after the news. The news is happening right now on Super Talk.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. New information in last month's mid-air collision between an American Airlines regional jet and an Army Black Hawk helicopter. Everybody on board, both aircraft died. The pilots of the Black Hawk helicopter may have been getting bad altitude data on their instruments and may have thought they were lower than they actually were, according to what the NTSB put out today. U.S. Army will no longer allow transgender people to enlist and will stop providing gender-affirming care for service members, it announced on social media today. And a judge has temporarily blocked mass terminations at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, at least a temporary blow to President Trump's efforts to dismantle that agency. The Department of Energy has paused the firings of dozens of federal employees at the National Nuclear Security Administration in the Trump administration's plan to downsize the federal government there. Money News, Michelle Frenzen.
Major market indexes were mixed at the end of this week's trading. The Dow fell 166 points. The S&P 500 lost a half a point, and the NASDAQ was up 81 points. Airbnb was a big winner after reporting stronger than expected profits. Applied Materials fell after its upcoming revenue forecast fell short of estimates. U.S. retail sales fell 0.9% in January, according to the Commerce Department. The sharp drop as cold weather kept more Americans inside after 2 months of gains. TikTok returned to Apple and Google's app stores in the U.S. President Trump delayed enforcement of a ban on the video sharing app. A law passed last year and upheld by the Supreme Court requires Chinese owner ByteDance to sell the popular app or be banned in the U.S. Jeff Bezos' rocket company Blue Origin is cutting 10% of its workforce. In a message to employees, the CEO said the company grew too fast over the past few years.
That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, got 24 eastbound at Briley Parkway South. Left lane partially blocked by a crash. In Berry Hill, got a crash. 440 eastbound before 65. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Dr. Poss has been growing for some time now, and he last year added Dr. Brian McLaughlin to the team. Dr. McLaughlin comes with the same exceptional credentials that Dr. Poss has had and has served with in Middle Tennessee over the many, many years that he has served us. If you cannot wear a CPAP machine and you know that you have mild to moderate sleep apnea, or if you don't know and you know that you snore, I encourage you to go see Dr. Poss, Dr. McLaughlin, and the team at the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. It's what I did, and I found out that I am a candidate for an FDA-approved oral device that holds the jaw forward, that allows you to breathe better, that allows you to snore less without any hose, without any mask, and it works. Friends, I have one in my home, and it works. I tell you what, they're in network with Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Aetna, Cigna, United Healthcare, Medicare, a preferred provider, TRICARE for the military, meaning that they're in network with almost all of your insurance companies. There are 2 locations for your convenience, one in Brentwood, the other in Murfreesboro. To find out more about the product, to find out if it's right for you, make a call, or better yet, stop by their website right now, drposs.com. That's drposs.com for the Dr. Poss Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. Super Talk 99.7 WTN 637. Winding down our portion of the day. Don't you fear, Mark Levin is coming up next. The great one. And, we've got a great slate of weekend programming. Before you know it, it's bright and early on Monday morning at 5 a.m., and there's Dan Mandis in Nashville's Morning News. But we've got plenty to do before then. So let me get just real quick my take, and you're welcome to give yours, 615-737-9986. Look, I know that it upsets the delicate sensibilities of some of my conservative friends, and I'm not here to necessarily say that I don't see your point of view. I most certainly do, but I offer my perspective and my point of view on marijuana this way. While we see many pharmaceuticals that are created in a lab that are allowed for public consumption because laboratories and pharmaceutical companies have lobbied our FDA and other lawmakers in order to see those things passed through, marijuana does not see the same lobby because it is a naturally occurring item that is difficult to make money on with any significant amount through the pharmaceutical industry, which has such a stranglehold on that process, the FDA approval process. Over my years in doing this job, over my years of life, have studied the efficacy of marijuana from a medical perspective. And I understand the concerns that some people would have regarding recreational use of marijuana. But here's the deal, folks. Marijuana is being used recreationally in Nashville and the surrounding communities on a daily basis. It is not as if marijuana isn't already here. It most certainly is. We have not seen a significant degradation in society where marijuana has been legalized. It's not as if Tennessee would be a test kitchen or a test case in this regard. Frankly, so long as we allow for the use of alcohol and in our society, I cannot see a reason why we would not allow the use of marijuana from a legal perspective in society, being that it is a one-off in its natural occurrence. Now, I know that we could call it a slippery slope. You can say that if you allow for this, you're going to have to allow for that, or if you allow for that, you're going to have to allow for the other, or are you opening the door to all manner of drugs? I would frankly say that our opioids in our society, which are manufactured in laboratories, using naturally occurring things like the poppy seeds and opiates and whatnot, but these things are weaponized, if you will, just to use a terminology, in the lab, and they are far more dangerous to our society. I mean, fentanyl is far more dangerous to our society than marijuana ever will be. It's just been my experience that this is not an issue that I think the government should intervene in your private life on. You own you. You own you. The government does not own you. And the government should have a pressing health and safety reason why they tell you that they have any control over any aspect of your body. And while I understand, especially for those who don't have any affiliation with medical marijuana and certainly don't have any inclination toward using recreational marijuana, I can fully understand why, this is outside of your field of vision and you would just say whatever. But certainly from a medical standpoint, marijuana has demonstrated itself to be far more effective and useful for far more things than certain pharmaceuticals. And I'm fully and 100% in support of legalizing marijuana for medical use. I'm willing to talk to folks about recreational marijuana, but frankly, I'm predisposed to allow legalized recreational marijuana as well, so long as you abide by the same types of aspects of the law that, people are expected to abide by with alcohol. Now, people don't, and it's obvious, but people don't do that anyway with regard to marijuana use, nor do they do that. So I understand that some would suggest that by legalizing marijuana, you're going to see a greater propensity of people smoking and driving. I would suggest otherwise. I do think that if you set the punishment high enough that you could preclude some of that on our roadways, just as we have attempted to do so with drinking and driving. 3879 says basically you'll be like California. I just disagree with that. I don't think Tennessee is anything like California, and I don't think we necessarily have to be anything like California in order to approve. I mean, you own you. Why would you give the government the opportunity to tell you what you can or cannot do with your body? That is a basic principle of libertarianism, and I abide by it. I believe that the government should have a real pressing they should have a compelling need beyond you and beyond your health and safety in order to compel you to do certain things. And, on our roadways, for example, we have drunk driving laws, and I don't believe drunk driving laws are there to protect the drunk driver necessarily. They are there to protect the individuals that the drunk driver is putting in danger, because it's consistently shown that you can't operate a motor vehicle effectively when you're consuming alcohol. Secondarily, marijuana use has seen it's not as dramatic of an impact, but there is an impact, and you can pass those same laws anyway. Kevin's on the road next. Kevin, thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm great, Matt. I just want to say that, I love your show so much. You're the most well-spoken talk radio host that I could ever imagine. You don't say a lot of ums. You're so... It's just incredible. I agree with everything that you say. For the most part, but I just want to tell you that I love your show. As far as the marijuana thing, you got to be careful. I drive a truck every day, and I see crazy people on the road, and it's just, I don't know what they're on, but there's dangerous drivers. But I just wanted to tell you that I really love your show, and I really appreciate you. You're well-spoken, probably the best well-spoken talk radio host that I've ever heard.
Well, I don't deserve any of that, Kevin, but I sure do thank you
for the
do. Kind words.
Yes, you do.
You're very kind.
Yes,
thank you, brother. Well, like I say, I'm gonna insist that I don't, but I appreciate you saying so. You're very kind, Kevin, and you call me back and say those things anytime you want to.
I will.
All right, brother. Thank you, man. I appreciate
Thank you for everything you do.
Look, look, Dakota says, hey, there's a guy smoking the devil's lettuce going through Nashville right now. No, stop it. That's not very nice. That's not very nice. 1733 says, so when people are smoking pot and they're pulled over, how does a police officer effectively judge when they've smoked their joint? I think you pass legislation just like you do. Are you allowed to have open containers in Tennessee?
I don't believe so.
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't think so.
I don't think they allow it because it makes it more difficult for the police officer to know whether or not the driver has been consuming alcohol. Of course, you have alcohol-related testing that the driver can go through to determine whether they're impaired, which is the same type of testing you put somebody that you suspect of smoking marijuana through to see if they are impaired or they don't have an ability to drive a vehicle. You could get more stringent with it if you so desired, and you could say that, if the officer, just as an officer, if he indicates the smell of alcohol, he can search your vehicle. If he indicates the smell of marijuana, he can search the vehicle. And if you wanted to do it that way, you could say that marijuana is not allowed in the driver's compartment of a vehicle whatsoever. There are ways to crack that nut if you wanted to cut down or prevent using marijuana while behind the wheel of a car. Here's what I would say now, though. If you want to know whether or not this is going on in Tennessee right now, drive down I-40 tonight with me as I go home.
Same on 65. Every day I smell it.
Every day. And I don't know if it's just that ripe or if they're just smoking it up right in front of me, but every evening. Brad writes in and says, Tennessee does not allow open containers. You can do the same thing. I'd be on board with the legalization if they start drug testing for food stamps and taxpayer-funded housing. It's not a bad idea. I get it. 2406 said in California they have mouth swabs to detect recent marijuana use. Well, there you go. That's pretty good. The smell test works pretty good as well. 5237 says passengers in motor vehicles can have open containers in Tennessee. So I'm getting conflicting reports now on that. One person said you can. Another person said open containers are prohibited on Tennessee roads. So I'll find out. 8957 says smell test right in front of you. Yeah, it's right there for you. Michael has a thought on this. Hey, Michael, how are you?
Hey, two things real quick. Concerning the open container law in Tennessee, the passenger is allowed to have an open container, but not the driver. That's where you may be getting some confusion. The other thing is that there are police officers that are trained to be recognized drug impairment in drivers. They're called drug recognition experts, and that's just a matter of training officers to detect the impairment caused by drugs rather than alcohol.
I mean, yeah, it's an extension of, I would assume that police officers are trained to smell alcohol, trained to know what that smells like, know what people act like when they've been consuming. I would think the same goes for other types of drugs.
Yeah, I think so. It's just a matter of determining impairment of the driver based on physical conditions of the driver. But I'm 100% with you on the legalization question. I come from the libertarian perspective as well, and 100% agree that your body is your body, and you have a right to what you consume.
Well, and typically, and thank you, Michael, for the call. Typically, arguments are made. Well, and 3879 writes, I don't know if it's a compelling argument, but it's an interesting one. Saying eventually you'll be like California. I heard the same arguments in Cali about 40 years ago. About 50 years ago, California was financially in the black with excellent school systems. It's sad to hear the same argument 40 years later. Well, I would ask 3879, and I've never been to California, so I don't know. I've read how they do their business. I've read how they became financially insolvent. I don't think that all of that had to do with marijuana. Maybe you can fault marijuana for making it worse or... And 3879 says, here's an idea. If you don't like Tennessee the way it is, move to California. I don't want to move to California. I've never been to California. Why do I have to move to – why can't we just agree to disagree and me stay here? Is that not okay? Is that not an option? Or do I have to move to California as a result of having a difference of opinion on this? I would just suggest that California had a lot of other issues going on that had a lot more to do with the fact that they are billions and billions of dollars in debt and they've become an absolute crap hole out there by all accounts. I think that has as much to do with many other factors as it does with marijuana. Maybe you could include marijuana in there. I don't know that Colorado has seen an uptick in crime. I think perhaps some of that has to do with illegal alien activity going on in that state and a permissive attitude toward said same. 8726 says the caller is correct. Open containers are legal for passengers, not drivers.
I did verify that. That is correct. Yeah, as long as it says not within the driver's reach.
So larger vehicles. I mean, so you couldn't have them. You couldn't have it in the front compartment, I guess,
or in the center cup holder area. I guess. Yeah.
Well, that seems like a distinction without a difference, right? I mean, if you got one up there and you get pulled over, you're going to move it to
the back,
and you're hosed if you're just the only one. Oh, that was for the passenger. Where's the passenger? They got out. They got out, but it's theirs. It's not mine. It's 9 until the top on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It can be hard to find someone that you trust when it comes to large home repairs, including heating and cooling. I found that person for you in the form of Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. They're a smaller company when it comes to the grand scheme of things, but that's okay with Jeff Eddy because he delivers big service and big results, and he always wants to do the right thing for you. If you're trying to make a decision as to whether to repair or replace, I encourage you to call Jeff Eddy, whether it's your first call or your second. Get that second opinion. Let Jeff look at that heating unit and make sure that he can get a little more life out of it, whether it be a year or two. That's going to save you money. But when it comes time, and it will come time eventually, they're an Elite Pro partner with Rheem, and they can find the right heating unit just for you. There will come a time when I'll start talking to you about your AC and getting it maintenanced, and you never get charged more than $125 for a maintenance call with Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. If your heater's not ready, call Jeff Eddy. Here's the number, 615-784-4424. 784-4424. Call my man, Jeff Eddy and Efficient. All right, I got a call to get to, and I've got a story that I would just I would shame myself if I did not get to, about a kayaker. Seen this story?
Yes. Scary.
Have you ever kayaked?
Yeah, one time.
In the ocean?
No, not in the ocean.
More on that in just a second. Ryan is in Rockvale. Hello, Ryan.
Hey, good evening. I just wanted to say that whole idea of the pot for potholes or whatever they want to call it, it's pretty silly. They ought to already be fixing the potholes with the taxes that we're already paying in the gas tax and everything else we already do. Because, you know, if they pass this thing, they're not going to be reducing the tax on the gas or wherever else they get all the money from. So this is just some goofy name and game they're trying to play up there. I mean, if you're going to pass it, pass it. If not, don't. But I'm with you. Just go ahead and let it be recreational. And all these people saying go back to California, they're just crazy too.
Well, I mean, look, I understand if you're, and thank you, Ryan, for the call. If you're from California and you've had negative experience out there, and you are against marijuana use or against the legalization of marijuana, then it's probably, it makes sense to put one and one together and try to blame all of all of California's issues on marijuana legalization. I don't know that that's necessarily the case. I don't think California did it correctly. I mean, when California first passed it, they passed it medically, but then they made it such a loose piece of legislation that anybody could go to any dispensary, and right beside the dispensary would be a quote unquote doctor's office. I mean, it was just ridiculous the way that they did it. They should have just gone all in as opposed to doing it the way that they did. That said, I understand where conservatives are coming from. Look, I'm not against you. I get it. I understand where you're coming from. I understand your position. My position simply is that you own you, and you ought to be able to do with your body that of which you choose. A humpback whale briefly swallowed a kayaker off Punta Arenas, Chile. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Well, Chile. Chile.
Yeah.
Not Chile.
No, that's what I'm going to eat tonight.
Oh, is it really?
I don't know.
Oh, really? Oh, I was about to say. Come on up to White House. Chilean Patagonia was the location. The kayak, if you've not seen this video, this is incredible. Jonah and the whale, right? I mean, we all know the biblical story of Jonah and the whale. This story ended a little bit differently. Last Saturday, a man by the name of Adrian Simancas was kayaking with his father near a lighthouse that I cannot pronounce in the Strait of Magellan when a humpback whale surfaced, engulfing Adrian and his yellow kayak for a few seconds before letting him go. Dell was just meters away, captured the moment on video while encouraging his son to stay calm. Stay calm, stay calm, he could be heard saying on video. I thought I was dead, Adrian said. I thought it had eaten to me. I thought it swallowed me. He described the terror of those few seconds, explained that his real fear set in only after resurfacing, fearing that the animal would try to hurt his father or grab him again. Ultimately, the humpback whale decided that it was not food. He was not food, and let him go. Good for this guy.
Yeah, man, that was scary.
I mean, you got a story that not everybody else has. Hey, I hope you have a great Valentine's night. I hope you have a great weekend. It's rainy, so be safe. We'll be back Monday at 3. Until then, have a wonderful weekend, folks. So long, everybody.